Hey guys, hello, welcome to Saturday. Except for those of you that are on the other side of the world where it's actually Sunday. Welcome, welcome to another live unboxing weekly broadcast. Today we'll be doing Doctor Strange images of Ikkon arms. So of course, when Benedict did Doctor Strange, he did an amazing job, absolutely amazing job, and I absolutely fell in love with the character. Didn't know any character. I didn't follow him in the comics. I don't remember anything extraordinary that happened in any of the comics that I read with Spider-Man where there was crossover. So he just kind of he was a really like yeah he existed, but I didn't know anything about him at all. After watching Benedict's mm, portrayal of him in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how Kevin Feige brought him to life, I'm full on a Doctor Strange fan in that regards to the MCU. And of course, I had to order this. This is the first figure that came out. I ordered the second one, wasn't able to make the money to purchase it once it came out, lost my pre order deposit on that. But I would still like to get that. When these images of Ikkon arm came out from a scene from Infinity, personalizing them yourself. You had to put your own cloth on, paint the hands and whatever else. And I'm like, I'm not going to mess around with that. So then another company came out about a month or so later that provided all of that. So needless to say, I dropped the money on that. When this Doctor Strange came, I was so disappointed in the way that it actually arrived. The and the little nameplate here is still falling off of it. The nameplate was totally ripping off, and it is. It's still just bowed up on it. The box, outside box, the whole little cute little mechanism that you unspun it was totally broken. I had to buy an extra box. I paid, I don't know, $40 or something to have a Doctor Strange box. So those of you that are out there destroying your boxes, it's $40, dude. I literally handed over to somebody for a box. Keep that in mind. I never found a really good way to display this cloak. I have it hanging back here on his figure stand to have it because it has its own little personality, more or less. The cloak does. I forget the name of the cloak, but that's how I just display that. Also, the other thing I didn't like about this first Doctor Strange was they never gave us the hand where he does, this. How he does his casting. He actually these fingers are bent down, and he does this when he wears the ring. And again, it's been so long since I've watched the movies, I don't remember all the names of all the different items. But I bought an extra set of hands, came with a full set of hands. The people out there that buy the figures just to sell the pieces to make money, I curse them. But at the same token, when something like this comes about, they're my best friend. You know what I mean? So I bought a whole other set of hands, literally, just to create this. And I bent the fingers down. I super glued them. It looks like they've come apart again. I think I used a second time. I think I used model glue. If you have a way of figuring out how best to attach these fingers to here, then that would be good. But they stayed that way for a long time. You can see they're still bent down. I think the hand pose was originally like this. So I literally was able to pull these fingers down all the way. And you can see they just, over time, maybe, gosh, I don't know, maybe a year, they've come undone and have popped back up again. But it's an extra set of hands, specifically, just so I could do that. And I do like the book. The book has many pages in here instead of just like one page, like Spider-Man's book that he has, his physics book is one page or two pages over and over and over again. This is like, I don't know, 10 pages or something of something different. So if you want to have him displaying the book, I thought I had his book open, but that's fine. Close is good. So I fully intended of taking the second Doctor Strange, which I never received, and putting these arms on it. That's when these arms were ordered, was about the time that that was on pre-order still before it had arrived. So I lost that Doctor Strange. I'm sure I can go still get it. I'm sure he's still available for purchase. And if you haven't got a Doctor Strange, what a real story of what a real key piece to your story. Remember, he's the one that says, he's over doing these arms and his head's like flipping out, and And Tony asked him what's going on, and he goes, "I just looked at 13 million, whatever possibilities of outcomes for this. There's only one where it works." And it's a pretty pivotal point, especially in Endgame or whenever it was. Maybe it was that episode. Maybe it was Infinity War. I don't remember, where he kind of gave Tony that confirmation. They told him he couldn't tell him, because if he told him, then it wouldn't work. So when Doctor Strange told him this was the one, where he kind of does, like that, that was cool. So yeah, Doctor Strange is pivotal, and he's a very powerful being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's debatable. I would argue with somebody one way or the other, because I'm not exactly sure who I think is more powerful, Doctor Strange with his manipulation of time and the arts, or Scarlet Witch. Really, really interesting to try to determine who actually is more powerful. They're two of the most powerful beings, easily, in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. Can't argue that one bit. I like to say that I think Scarlet Witch is probably more powerful than Doctor Strange with her abilities. But Doctor Strange is no joke. Absolutely no joke. And I really like Benedict's portrayal of this. So this was made by a third-party vendor. Wasn't made by Hot Toys or Sideshow or any of the such. By the way, did you guys see Thanos' new pre-order? I'm sure you did. Literally, what came to my mind when I seen that was, gosh, how many Thanos do I need? For real. Noble, welcome. Always the first one on here, man. So glad to see you. C'est bon, Mason. You're doing great. I see you are here. Not much is up with me. What is up with you guys? Ian, I hadn't seen you in a while. Were you here last week? I don't remember. Hope all is well. YouTube notification actually came through on time. Well, thank you. You're not the first person who tells me that YouTube notifications not work for them. Gosh darn algorithms, right? I think that Scarlet Witch is more powerful, with Doctor Strange obviously has more knowledge. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. In regards to the knowledge factor, Scarlet Witch is a child. And she was portrayed to us as a kid, more or less. Not necessarily a kid, but just very immature in the first movie, and she has grown, obviously, through her years of being an Avenger. But Doctor Strange is definitely, with all the wisdom and the knowledge of the entire universe, more or less, or at least of the arts. But no, Scarlet Witch is very immature in her thinking and planning. It's like battling Batman. You don't go against the battle of Batman without totally having your wits about you. He will totally kick your ass because he's already figured out every possible scenario that any situation could come about. Same way as going up against Doctor Strange. What was that? I forget his name now. The guy that he was just like continually warping time and repeating it back and back, and he just continually kept killing him. And we have no idea. We really have no idea how long he was in that time loop of getting killed over and over and over and over again. It could have been years. Doctor Strange could have been up there 20 years fighting him. We have no earthly idea. What was the guy's name? Mamu? So let's see. That's a pretty cool little box. Right there. Real basic, simple. Says nothing else on it. Mamu. Our original plan was to have the Infinity War and the armored Thanos. Now I'm just getting all three because of the defeated face. I got to tell you, looking at this new Thanos, I was really impressed. I was like, okay, this is definitely probably the coolest looking one, because just as you're saying, he's got that face. The gauntlet is just wrapped up. It's Tony's gauntlet. I mean, man, $480 or thereabouts. He's available at Big Bad Toy Store. You can pre-order him now. You only got to pay a 10% deposit of $48 or whatever it is, and you don't pay for it until it arrives. And it's not going to be here for like 2 years, or a year. It won't be here for a year, so that gives you an entire year to set aside $45 a month, so that it's available for you. And or you can pay for it fully. Now, I guarantee you they're going to probably charge more than $4 shipping on that. It's a little bit heavier, but you might get it still for $4 shipping. I damaged that box there a little bit when I opened it with those scissors, just a little bit. It's like a shoebox. I mean, a real shoebox where there's nothing shiny on it. Just plain cardboard. It's almost textured like hair, believe it or not. But man, that Thanos sure does look good. But I've got the Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos, which is improperly scaled. But he stays on his throne, so who cares? And he's back over there in the corner with his Chitauri warriors. And then I got the Infinity War Thanos, which is a great piece. A lot of people complain about the shoulders, and there's a fix that I've seen some people do for the shoulders. I'll show you what the complaint is. So if you noticed on Thanos' shoulders, there's this huge gap in between where his shirt is sitting on his shoulders. And of course, nobody's shirt just rises up like that. So some people have actually removed the shirt and shaved down the shoulder blade to make the shirt sit on his body more. In conclusion, that it doesn't bother me so much. It's fine. I'm just going to leave it as it is. I don't need to damage the body in order to make the shirt fit. It works for me. So I'll be leaving Thanos as is. And then I have the in his hand where they were keeping his glove open so he couldn't snap his fingers. But so I have the two Thanos, and then I ordered the in-game Thanos, which more or less is the armored version of this. He's just a clean, straight up beginning of in-game armored Thanos. What I'd like to see is a chopped off arm Thanos. Not really. No, I really don't want a chopped off arm Thanos, but I would like to see the crinkled up, destroyed left hand, the withered away hand. That's a defeated Thanos. But in his mind, he's a completed Thanos. I mean, that's the oldest that Thanos comes in our realm, as the Avengers Thor decides to do what he was told to do by Thanos and end his life. To have that crinkled up, gloved hand, which really completes the story. But again, I'm literally telling myself, how many Thanos do I need? For instance, I never intended to buy more than one Black Widow, to tell you the truth. Now I want all the Black Widows. I want every single Black Widow they've ever made and ever plan on making. Same thing with Captain America. I passed on a lot of Captain Americas originally because I was like, what do I need? I just need one. Just one. Unlike Iron Man, I got to have every single Iron Man they ever made. But with Captain America, I'm like, I only need one. Well, now I'm like, God, I want the whole set. I want all of them. I want everything back from where he's just a little bitty kid from Brooklyn before he becomes anybody, you know? So you end up chasing the game. And a lot of people complain or discourage you from doing that when they'll make a comment as saying you should never pay more than a Hot Toys ever was sold for originally. Well, I hate to tell you, but life doesn't work that way. If you don't have the opportunity or the ability or you weren't aware of collecting at the time that came out, and they sold out of 800 or 1,000 or 10,000 pieces or however many that they actually made, and you decide you want one, you've got to convince somebody that owns theirs to give it to you. And if they bought it because they wanted to have it, they're not just going to give it away just so you can have one yourself. You're going to have to persuade them to give it to you. And you're going to have to come up with some cash. And the more in demand, or the less, or the harder it is to get that figure, by God, the more it's going to cost you. And that's just the nature of the beast. I don't care what it is. If you're trying to buy a 1958 Corvette, you can't go back in time to 1958 and buy that 1958 Corvette. I'm sorry. Back in 1958, that Corvette was just a couple $1,000s. By golly, if you're buying a 1958 Corvette now, you're dropping at least $60,000, maybe up to $200,000 for it. And it's not going to be in pristine condition. It's not going to be sat on a shelf in a glass box. It's going to be out there rusting away or driven around or got some miles on it. It's going to be not as brand new anymore. All right, so here's what we got right here. We got this instruction manual, one single page. Supposedly this will work on either of these Doctor Stranges. And the first thing we see here is this device. It appears that it fits over a stand. Looks like it goes in this capacity here. Catch up on some of the chat. Dormammu. 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 We can do this all day long. Doctor Strange, nice figure. I have him myself. I love him. I love my Doctor Strange. You need 4 Thanos perfectly balanced as all things should be. I love it. I've got 3 caps so far. Civil War, 10-year anniversary, and the Infinity War. Yeah, how many caps do I have? I've got Civil War. I've got Avengers Age of Ultron. I've got Infinity War. I've got an anniversary, not the anniversary, the prototype cap. That's what I've got. I have 4 caps. But no, I want them all. I want the first Avenger, the second Avenger, the whole 9 yards. Well, not second Avenger, but you know, I'm talking about the World War II cap. I want every one of them. I really do. And I know that if I want them, I got to pay for them. It's like Loki. Loki. I have a couple of Lokis. Actually, I have one Loki. I have the Loki from Ragnarok, and I have a Loki that I made using I think it's a Dark World head sculpt. I don't remember which head sculpt it is on a body. I bought the Loki suit. Let me show you. I love this Loki. I don't remember who it was that made this suit, but this is from the scene when the Avengers first meet him. Now, this isn't how the Avengers encounter him, but this is how we see him as he's walking around in that museum, as he's grabbing, I don't even remember what it was he was taking out of there, but this was him being totally dapper and cool as hell, just walking through, totally kicking ass with his staff, and just blending into society. So by the time Captain America and Tony and the Avengers show up, he's already turned into his Avengers garb, his outfit. But there's that moment in time where we see him as such. And this is how I wanted to show Loki off. And I really like this. I really enjoy this a lot. And I wish I remember who made this. But the coolest thing is they made this staff too. So you couldn't get this staff any other place other than getting it through that kit. So this was the other Loki I have. But I've always wanted the Avengers Loki. And my God, he sells for like $800 or something to that effect. And if you want one, you're going to spend $800. Just like the Punisher. Netflix's Frank Castle Punisher. I passed on him. I bought the Daredevil, and I loved my Daredevil, and I had never seen the Punisher. And I was never a Punisher fan. I mean, I never hated him, but he was just an anti-hero that I didn't have any interest or passion in, so I passed on him. And then I was like, oh, that was the stupidest thing to ever have done. And that's another one. It's like $800. If you want one, you got to drop some coin on them. And that's just how it works. So you snooze, you lose. That's the game right there. That's the rules of the game. So they originally said this was attaching by magnets to the body. I don't believe this is attaching by magnets to the body at all. I might be wrong. But I don't know how this is going to attach by magnets to the body. I hate to say it. It literally appears that it's supposed to attach by a stand. You know? What do they not give us? A stand. So I assume they're expecting me to use my stand. So it didn't come to us as promised, but it's fine by me. Put this box aside so I can examine this. because gosh darn looks darn cool. So let's see how this is supposed to go. 1 and 2, yes. 3 is a stand. And they show an Infinity War stand. And then they show this going on the stand in this manner towards his body as such. Those are his hands down, thumbs forward. Okay. And then they show this sliding in between this and the top of the stand. So this is supposed to go as such. And I can feel there's a magnet here. Okay. Matter of fact, you can see 2 little circles kind of right there. So this does hold, you can hear it. Do you hear the magnets slap in there inside of this to each other? They shouldn't be moving around, but they are. So after it's all said and done, it's supposed to attach as such. All right? And all the thumbs are facing the correct way, or they're all facing you right now. All the thumbs are facing you. So I assume then when they were claiming that they were going to be attached by magnets, they weren't stating attached to the figure. There's no magnets in the figure. Hot Toys didn't put magnets in the figure for us. So there's no magnets in the figure. If there's a figure I really want, it's definitely going to be pay over the odds for it. As a person, as a former military, I thought that you would be excited for the Punisher. I love the Punisher, okay? It wasn't like, he's the real anti-hero thing is one of those areas I never really was a big fan of. You know what I mean? The original Punisher, he was off. It took place in Vietnam, and as time moves for us, they continually update characters. Most time without necessarily totally retelling the story to keep him in line with the readers of the time. And so if you've got a Punisher from like Vietnam out there being the Punisher, he just wouldn't connect to the average comic book collector anymore. So they constantly have to evolve him. Even Spider-Man, in some reality, has been evolved through from 1962 or whatever it was when he first came out to today. Even though Earth 616 Spider-Man, he really isn't the same Earth 616 Spider-Man that was. He is, but he's not, because his story has been tweaked to keep him in line and updated to the current reading stock. I mean, I think in reality, depending on where you go, Spider-Man's still like 30 years old. So like 15 years has passed in almost 60 years. So it just doesn't work like that. But no, I pass on the Punisher simply because there's only so many times you can spend $300 a month on figures. For real. And that's kind of where I am on Thanos as well. It's like, oh my God, I've got so many figures coming, and he's a $480 figure. And I've already got a Thanos coming. I've already have the Infinity War Thanos, and I already have Thanos. So I'm like, gosh, do I really need a second in-game Thanos? It's a hard decision. It's a hard thought process to make. It really is. It really is. So let's get him a base to stand on. What I'll probably end up doing after it's all said and done, because I have extra bases here. I might just end up drilling a hole through this, or I might just spend $300 or whatever it is on an Infinity War Doctor Strange for this. So in the meantime, let's just get a base for him. I bought like I said, some of these diamond bases, literally for two reasons. One, because sometimes you really do want a diamond base. And two, because they would come with the right rods and attachments that are needed for them. So I have more of these, but I'm just going to grab an extra little Civil War or Infinity War base. I have a box just of bases. Sometimes the base that they give you just doesn't work with what you've got. What do we have here? Gosh, this is going to take too much time. Let me find someone I'll just steal a base from for a moment. Who do we have that I can borrow their base from? That'll work in this scenario. No work. Iron Man Mark 50. No, he won't. Gosh dang it. Who can I use? I want to build an entire base right now. Golly. Nobody. Nobody has a base that'll fit exactly my need. Oh, you guys suck. Gosh dang it. Give me a minute. I didn't know that it required a base. Really had no knowledge of that. One of the box of bases. I have another box that's nothing but the Iron Man Hall of Armor bases. What I'm looking for is one of the new, right here. That's what I need. You. No! Not you! Too small. Oh, God. It's like dead air. I'm gonna go with one of these will work. So what they show is using one of the new bases that, and they come in two different sizes now. The new bases, the new articulated pose stands do. So you have a thinner one and you have a thicker one. And on the new ones, you pull this off and then you put your lobster claw wherever you want it, and it rides up and down. The older ones, where you put it is where it is. It actually sits on a stem and it sits on top of that. And for instance, as you can see, I have the Mark 50 here, a good 3.5, 4 inches off of the ground. And he will stay there. He's not going to slide down. Whereas on these, supposedly through the act of friction and resistance, they don't slide down, but they will. Eventually your figure will just slide right on down this, which also is a problem with the solid metal poles that they used to give us. So we've had many iterations of figure posing stands over the years for our figures. And they used to give either a clear plastic pole or a solid, well, not a solid, but a metal hole. And both of those they would slide down on also through an act of friction. So these are the ones that don't slide. If you need to pose your figure in the air, for instance, like Iron Man here, Mark 50 is posed in the air, this piece will keep him right where he belongs. Where you put that at is where it is. And they make different heights of this, all the way from like about here to here. So there's variances of that much of the different heights of these. This is the tallest one I believe that I have. So depending on what you need, then that's what you would go with. So what they show is using one of these with this, because it can be slid down to fit. What I'm going to do, I wish I had more than one of these Mark 50s. I mean, I love posing this. This is really, I don't know, I really enjoyed this particular one, but God, there's so many different things you can do with the Mark 50. My God, you need like 5 of them to be able to pose them all, right? And there's different lobster claws as well. For instance, this lobster claw isn't going to work very well with this guy, but that's fine. We're really not going for the lobster claw. We're really going for, yeah. So this skinny one isn't going to work. I'd like to call this the Spider-Man one. I think I remember Spider-Man is where the skinnier one comes from. Let's see how this one does. And these just come right off. Unlike these, they unscrew. You have to unscrew that. You see, and as soon as I unscrewed it, it came loose. So you put it where you need it, and pretty much where you put it is where it stays. They made many different lobster claws, so we've watched things change, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, over the years. So I have a lot of different ones because of that reason. So what? The thicker one didn't fit either? Oh, come on now, what in the world? Well, the thicker one didn't fit. So you have to use the Spider-Man one. And literally, like I said, it's on here through friction and resistance. I'm not holding it. It's staying there. But it doesn't take anything for it to slide down. So obviously, gravity is going to win, and it will slide down over time. I suppose how you would stop that is just put a little piece of tape or something here to keep that from sliding down. Or hell, you could, if you really wanted to, screw something into it. But just anything to bulk up to keep that from going down should work fine. So let's do this. Yeah, look at that. Oh boy, I took it straight down. These magnets shouldn't be slopping around in there. The thing is, there's screws here on the backs of both of these. So you might be able to open it up and rectify that problem. So without any posing here, just it kind of hanging out there, we have this semblance. 'Cause, 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 'cause every one of these hands are interchangeable, and I have many hands. So, but if I remember correctly, all of the hands were in the same pose. They were all as such. You can have this on this particular articulated posing stand that I use. You can have it up that high, which appears to be a good height. So my vision of this was to have him with his legs sitting cross-legged, hovering in the sky with his arms as such. And I will probably track down an Infinity War Doctor Strange specifically for this. Now that we see how they expect him to look, which isn't that bad, really. It really isn't. Let's see how articulate the arms are. And again, this is going to be one of those pieces that you're not going to find in every collection. First off, you have to have decided to purchase the Doctor Strange. Second of all, you have to decide that you wanted to portray this scene. And then third of all, you got to decide you want to drop whatever it was, $100 on this. It's an articulated arm. You have shoulder. You can move it in its place. You have elbow and you have wrist with interchangeable hands. So you can put these into better poses for you if you don't necessarily agree with how this is. This one feels like there's an elbow joint in there. There it is. Kind of put it backwards. There's this one. There's that. And these, I mean, these really look exactly like the same arm pieces that are on the Hot Toys Doctor Strange figure. So that's cool. We have 2 rows that are in the front, or 2 arms in the front, 3 arms in the back, and of course then this one would be, let's see, as such, right? Make sure those are right. So you have 3 rows of arms, 2, 3, and then 2 again. So that's how deep they go. Let's see something. This is wrong. This is how it should go, right? Let me look at this. If we flip these thumbs over such, or if we leave them down, then it goes like this, right? Hands up, hands down. I'm doing Spider-Man here. Hands up, thumb behind us, hands down, thumb in front of us. It wouldn't go like that. The device definitely goes in this manner. And these thumbs are on the wrong hand then. If that's the case, what in the world? What did I do with the instruction manual? I swear, sometimes stuff just walks off. I was going to look at the instruction manual again to see which way they said the doggone thing went on. I'm almost positive it says that it goes in this manner. And looking at this, with these hands as such, these hands are on the wrong side. Now, isn't this how I said this goes, guys? Just like this, right? Because this way, the slot is over the hole, right? So you can put this on here. And it's the thinner one. And then this was attaching by the magnet to that, right? Sliding down here. And that was how it was resting. Well, if that's the case, these hands are on the wrong arms. Oh my God. Okay, I understand. Talk about Netflix Punisher, which I wish I'd bought now. He just didn't make the cut. I didn't have the extra funds. Like, there's so many figures, dude, that I would buy if money were no object. And money obviously is a huge object. Brand new ones that are available now. Huge fan of Blade Runner. Even the 2049 movie, which came with mixed receptions. Yeah, this is how this is supposed to go. I would love to get a Joy. I would love to get the new Blade Runner. I don't even know what his name is. I would like to find an old Deckard and an old Rachel, truthfully. I really want a Joy. I really want a Joy. Yeah, these hands are on the wrong side. I really want Peter B. Parker's. I'll buy those too. And that's where I am on Thanos. It's like, oh, man, how many Thanos do I really need? For real. And that's kind of where I am on that. So whether his hands are supposed to be up or down on the bottom, no matter, these hands are on the wrong side. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If your hands are up, your thumb's behind you. If your hands are down, your thumb's in front of you. So here we have thumbs behind on the big piece, and on the bottom piece we have thumbs behind and they're pointed down. They're on the wrong side. These hands don't feel like the Hot Toys hands. I mean, they definitely look like as if they're cast from the exact same mold. No doubt about that. But they feel thinner. And thinner rubber. It's going to make it really easy going on and off of these hand pegs here. And you see, I'm literally able to just reposition these. These are arms. You have 7 arms here. 14 arms, actually. 7 on each side. For what you pay for this, which I think was $100. I don't even remember. I think it's well worth it. If you want to pose in this stand. There's several of the gods that have been depicted through time that have these arms as such. So I think Ganesh is one of the more recognizable ones. But there's many gods that have been portrayed with their arms in this capacity, or mannerisms, or positions. So we decided to have them up. That's how they would be. And this will look, I think this will look really cool posed as such in the collection, especially have a Detolf or some display with him. I mean, if you use this Inner Sanctum from the first Doctor Strange movie, he requires a lot of space as it is. And so using this as well is not bad. Colors are really close to this cloth. It's almost like dead on, like as if it came from the same manufacturer. Completely possible that it did. Totally and completely possible that it did. So these arms can be finagled with and put however you wish. And after it's all said and done, it's easy to customize this to make it better for you. And just in a few manner of minutes, you see what different things I've done with it. And you can put your other Doctor Strange hands on there if you want more than just these hand positions. If I remember correctly, he's doing this on all of his hands. So they've given you all of those hands. And it includes it's cloth, it's painted well, it's molded well, and I am not disappointed in this whatsoever, except for this application of how it goes onto this. And that can easily be fixed. You can even buy a little locking screw nut holder to wrap around here and tighten it down to hold it in place. So that's easily remedied. And it will create the illusion of this quite well, truthfully. Creates it quite well. And I imagine, should you so feel inclined, if you felt that that's too far away from him, turn it around the other way, flip the hands onto the other arm, as you just seen me flip the hands over. This will get it even closer to his body. No, not really. Either way, it's going to be the same distance from his body. However you look at it, it's going to be that far away from him. Whether it's facing this way or this way. This is probably closer. So the way that they've designed it is the closest to his body you're going to get. And that's what you end up with. And fully, like I said, I intended to buy an Infinity War Doctor Strange, have him posed with his legs crossed, floating, and the arms as such. So there you have it. That would be your pose. Right there. And I dig that. I like that a lot, actually. I'm really pleased with that. I think it's made to be used with Doctor Strange's pole. Yeah, now on this, I would say yes. I don't have the Infinity War Doctor Strange, so I don't know what pole he comes with. But this one, I don't remember what his original pole was either. I move things about. I will use different poles for different purposes on similar stands in order to be able to get a pose that I'm looking for. If a figure needs a pole, sometimes they don't need a figure stand at all. For instance, my Doctor Strange does not stand on with the help of a pole. He literally stands in front of his pole. So I don't really know if this is his original pole or not on this specific figure. What I have here is the crotch grabber with the cloak. Um, gone AWOL, gone rogue on me. So I have a crotch grabber, which I use in this, which is an upside down Iron Man pole, one of the solid metal poles I was talking about. Stuck it in there upside down, which gives me an open hole, put the crotch grabber into it, and then that enables me to pose this as his own entity, more or less. Because it is. It really is its own entity. And the magnets in there will hold it as such. And right now, he's fighting with me. But I use the magnets to hold it. His magnets. Its magnets. The cloak's magnets. To stay on this. There we are. Ah, come on now. Stop acting up. So that's how I have, that's the pose that I'm using, the pole that I'm using for this. And the instruction manual, which I've misplaced God knows where, showed this base, which would have been an Infinity Wars base. That's what that says. With that. So I would imagine the pole would fit perfectly more so than this. This one seems too fat. This one seems too skinny. But you definitely need this pole. And I don't have an Infinity War Doctor Strange to be able to 100% do a full-on test with it. But I just have Doc standing about yay far away. He stands on his own well. He's been standing here the entire time of his existence in the 1/6 scale room here, and everything has been cool with him. And I wish I had a better way of posing this cloak. It deserves a better way. I mean, it's its own character, but this works. It rides above him, behind him, and tells the story, no doubt about that. And I've got to. I mean, it's almost a definite now. I have to get that Doctor Strange because this is one story, and this is a whole nother story. It really is. This is a whole nother story. This is awesome. I never believed Hot Toys multiple arms was just an image. Thanks for sharing. Oh yeah, you're welcome. And I've seen the images displayed and portrayed, and there are people who've recreated that themselves and putting that behind him. So when I seen these arms were being up, I remember talking about if somebody made these arms, that would be so freaking cool. And then a month or two later, somebody actually did, and the first one that I seen was unfinished. It was literally a kit, more or less, that you would have to do yourself. You'd have to paint the arms. You'd have to do the cloth or paint it or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not about that at all. Anytime I've ever tried to do a beautiful customization in that capacity, it never works out as I have envisioned it. And so if I could find somebody that can do the job for me, I would be very happy to do such. And then, this came out and I was like, oh, well, that's a definite. And I put them on the buy, and it came, and I'm so very pleased with it. And like I said, with some finagling, you can get it to be however you wish, and it will be a great representation. Be a great representation, especially with Doctor Strange floating. I love that little interaction with, and again, I forget his name, the more or less the nemesis in the first Doctor Strange movie, when he's introducing himself, and he goes, "I'm sorry, Mr." And Doctor Strange replies, "Doctor." He says, "Mr. Doctor?" He goes, "No, it's Strange." He goes, "So it is, but who am I to judge?" He literally thought his name was Mr. Doctor. And then, of course, they continue that joke with meeting Spider-Man in Infinity War. And he goes, "Oh, hi. By the way, I'm Peter Parker." And Doctor Strange literally replies, "Doctor Strange." Peter's like, "Oh, so we're using our made-up names. I'm Spider-Man." I love that ongoing joke of his name. Buzz Lightyear, how's it going, man? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Achilles Figurido, welcome, by the way. I'm okay with only the background scene from the Infinity War Doctor Strange figure. I think it looks just too big behind him. Only if you're looking from the front, it's okay. That makes complete sense. I agree. I agree in that manner. I finally made it. Lou Vega finally made it to a live. How's everyone? Lou Vega, welcome. Welcome to the channel. I'm happy to say that I am 3 Hot Toys in, and the rabbit hole could not look so crazy. And it grows and grows and grows and grows. And boy, oh boy, you really hit the nail on the head. The rabbit hole certainly is. Dormanhu. That's the proper way of spelling it, I guess. Needs to be a bust for Hot Toys. Oh my God. Could you imagine? I mean, how big would he be? Would his head be like about this big? Would that make a good, accurate representation of Dormammu? Dormammu? I don't know. I would like to find me a 6 foot tall Ant-Man from Civil War. I think that would be properly scaled for the battle at the airport. Truthfully, I think if I could find and I've looked and looked and looked, and I've not been able to find a like an adult costume of Ant-Man that looks like the movie. And that would be great. Where the hell would I put it? I have no earthly idea. But that would be Giant Man for fact. And I could do like a full-on Civil War assemblage there. That's like the ultimate dream. That's like the ultimate dream. Okay, so it is Dormammu. No, don't worry about it. I just didn't know whether or not that was the proper spelling. I did not know. I wasn't busting your chops. So this is it. And I'm pleased I got it. And if you've been on the fence for it, or if you didn't know it existed, here it is. And now you can make a decision as to whether or not you want to track it down, or how you want to do on that. I don't know if it's still even available. I don't know if it's even something that you can buy now. I'm sure you can. Gosh, anything can be bought sooner or later. And it's a lot of arms. It really is. And what more can really be done with this? It's not like you can take 7 arms and have them into a single row. I mean, what would that be? Gosh. That's 5 arms in a single row right there. And let's see, how does that fit behind him? You know, 5 arms doesn't look all that bad, to tell you the truth. It's entirely possible maybe to put this into 1 row or 2 rows instead of 3 rows deep. Literally all I've done is just set this underneath the other in this manner. So we have the 2 here in the front, and then we have 5 in a single row up and down. And with him as such, it doesn't look that bad, truthfully. It really doesn't. So this is something to consider, possibly. See if this can be customized as such. Where I have this in my hand, is I just lined this up with the back of this. So needless to say, this pull system will be totally off. But I'm sure something can be done here. You decide you want to try to get it thinner. Because with that behind him, it really wasn't that far out of it, in all truthfulness. So something can be done. See how these are attached. You know, I almost want to disassemble this. And I think I might. God, I'm gonna break my figure. Let's see what it's like. Let's see what we got inside of this. You own Hot Toys, you've got glue, you've got screwdrivers, you've got always stuff sitting around, right? Let's open this up. Probably gonna be sorry I do this. You'll be sorry. As soon as I did, this came out and loose. As soon as I started loosening it, this literally just slid right out. Remember which way that went. You're taking apart a tape measure? You'll never get that put back together. So the magnets literally jumped up. We've heard them slapping around inside of there. But as imagined, these are just arms. So you can take these out and move them or put them however you wish. They're just arms slotted in there. And they had two little magnets that were in there that weren't really glued in very well. We could hear them slopping around inside of that. So we'll have to do some work getting those back in, probably glue them in place. They totally just popped out and stuck to themselves in there. They should have been glued, I would imagine, into place so that they didn't continue slopping around as such. But this is the insides. They've glued it in, so you can't accidentally take it out. You'll have to purposely take it out, but they glued the cloth to the plastic. So you can move the arms about. There's the insides. Now I would imagine it's the same thing going on with that piece. I'm going to assemble both of them. So that is that. But it probably needed to be taken apart because the magnets were, you heard them clicking back and forth as they're attracting to the other piece. So that's my justification of disassembling my brand new images of Ikkon arms. Never spared a moment to consider one of those one-to-one Iron Man statues by Sideshow. Oh my God, how much are they? They're like $10,000 or something, aren't they? I mean, I'm an Iron Man fan, but I'm really a 1/6 scale collector. So whenever I buy a piece that appears to be outside of scale, it's because it's a multi-scalable piece or character. For instance, Ant-Man is multi-scalable. The Incredible Hulk, truthfully, is multi-scalable because he goes from average size Dr. Banner to, gosh, how tall is Hulk? Isn't he like 10 feet tall? In all actuality, the angrier he becomes, the bigger he gets. Marvel Cinematic Universe, they seem to have him set at a certain height of whatever it is. I think he's probably like he's probably about 9 feet tall. I'm just guessing. In Marvel Cinematic Universe, he seems to be the same, but like in the Incredible Hulk movie, the Edward Norton movie, he's actually like bigger, and the angrier he becomes, even in the comics, he can become bigger. So there really is like no true scale for the Hulk. But in between that 9 or 10 feet tall or whatever height that he becomes, from 6 feet tall or 5'10" or however tall Bruce Banner is, I mean, you've got 3 feet there. So if you could find like a 1/9 scale figure, that would make sense. Yeah, a 1/9 scale of Hulk that's posable, which I've not seen. I've seen King Arts make like a fixed Hulk, but I've not seen like a 1/9 scale posable Hulk that works, or like a quarter scale Hulk. I mean, that would still be more or less within a 1/6 scale realm of Hulk transitioning. And with Ant-Man, you can find King Arts and Marvel Select and all these other companies that make the 1/9 and the 1/12 figures, and that would literally be the Ant-Man shrinking down. But no, I've never considered a 1-to-1 Iron Man statue. I have 1-to-1 scale stuff. I have a 1-to-1 Bumblebee. I own a 2010 Chevrolet Camaro 2SSR SCTH Transformers Edition, officially licensed Hasbro product of the first movie Chevrolet Camaro. And I love that car. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. It's a blast to drive. 8-cylinder engine, 425 horsepower. Oh my God. So fun. Oh my God. Absolute blast. Oh my God, I just collect Weta, Lord of the Rings, right? But Strange is my favorite hero. I will go for it. And that's what you have to do. A lot of times when collectors first decide they want to get into the 1/6 scale community, it's like you can't find the figures fast enough. And then next thing you know, you start buying figures that you really don't have any interest or desire to collect because they don't speak to you. They're not anything that has any relatable anything to you, more or less. Or the relation is so minor that it's not worth the figure or the space for that matter. So collect what you want. Don't just buy anything and everything. There's collectors that I'm hearing. It seems that right after Civil War came out, the hobby had a big influx of new collectors. There's been a lot of new collectors in the last couple of years, and I'm a relatively new collector. I've only started collecting 5 years ago personally, 1/6 scale figures, and so I'm not like an old timey guy from like 10, 20 years ago, or even from the old days. I mean, I had GI Joe dolls when I was a kid, the 1/6 scale GI Joe dolls, and figures. They're not dolls, and but I never held on to any of them. I've collected others, Toy Biz and Star Wars, the old Kenner Star Wars. I've collected those in the past. I've always collected something, Swatch watches, God, you name it. There's always something I've got a hold of somewhere. But making this decision to go into 1/6 scale is a huge decision because of the size figures. The quality of them, though, is unmatched. You're not going to be able to find, without getting into an even larger scale, legendary scale, quarter scale, 1/3 scale, half scale, 1-to-1 scale, of a realistic representation of a character than you're going to get in 1/6 scale. 1/12 scale is less expensive. I mean, drastically less expensive, and the quality on that is improving, but it's not going to be anything close to the 1/6 scale. Looking at these characters, especially now, as well practiced and the quality that these sculptors are making. I mean, you're looking at a dead-on representation of these actors nowadays. It's like having your own wax museum. It really is. But collect what you want. And if you're a Doctor Strange fan, for fact, collect him. And if you're on the fence, hey, go for it. You're not going to be disappointed at all. I guarantee you're not going to be disappointed at all. That looks awesome, though. Thank you, Lou Vega. Buzz Lightyear. I always had the feeling the 1-to-1 stuff looks not real. I don't know. It may be the paint jobs or the panel lines that look odd. You can see that these are not real from a distance. For me, I'm a 1/6 fan, but an Iron Man collector, and I've seen a lot of collectors like yourself who have a lot of 1/6 scale. That would be more or less the majority of the collection, and then I'll see a lot of really nice legendary scale and quarter scale and whatever of the Iron Man figures. And oh man, some of those Iron Man look amazing. There's a Mark 17 that they made and I think it's 1/3 scale or something. I don't know. It's beautifully big. Oh, jeez, it looks really nice. And then the helmets are great. There are so many of you out there that have the one scale helmets look beautiful. They really do. And but my collection has grown to just beyond just Iron Man, obviously. I've got a huge Deadpool collection over here of 1/6 scale that's growing of just 1/6 scale Deadpool. I have figures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Deadpool related figures. Spider Man, the same thing. Spider Man related figures, 1/6 scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 Spider Man figures. And then this is valuable space. I mean, if you were to put 3 per Dettol shelf, I mean, I've literally just filled up an entire Dettol shelf with Spider Man or Deadpool. And they're still growing beyond that. So I'm just not an Iron Man. And that's why, like I was saying earlier, I only wanted to get one Black Widow originally because I felt I only needed just one to represent the Avengers. Way beyond that. I literally want every Black Widow they've ever made. I really do. And some of the pieces I've been able to limit myself to one. I have, well, okay. I have one Vision, but then again, they only made one Vision, right? I really need 2 Visions, though. Because I have Vision here on the Avengers shelf, representing the Avengers. And I really need Avenger out there fighting Ultron. Because I have an Ultron recreation of them fighting him. And I don't have enough Visions. So I need another Vision. They showed us they were going to make an Infinity Wars Vision, and they never did. So who's to say? I think there was a plainclothes Vision that was made. There was a third-party company that made all the plain clothes. Because if you remember in Civil War, at the beginning of the movie, we've seen all the Avengers working, but in regular clothes. They were in disguise at the beginning of the movie with crossbones. 9 feet tall, Hulk, 9 feet tall. Won't be getting a life size though, right? KO Hot Toys Hulk from China, 1/9. Oh, okay. KO. I know King Arts has made a 1/9 scale Hot Toys. 1/9 scale Hulk, but he's more or less a diorama. He's not posable. Posable would be what I want. So KO is a company, and it looks like, I mean, literally looks like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Hulk, which is important to me. I don't like buying a piece if it doesn't look screen accurate or there's a great representation to it. For instance, I have an Ant-Man here. It kind of bothers me in my lowering down of the Ant-Man. He is close, but he's not. His face mask is open. You can see his face, and the eyes are orange instead of red. So he's there, but he's there reluctantly. And then I have this Crazy Toys Hulk over here. Colors off a little bit, but I don't have an Avengers Hulk. So he fits the bill. He's a little tall for that, but he fits the bill. So those are 2 pieces that I have that aren't necessarily to my pleasure or standard in regards to that. But they're placeholders. They work in that instance. Over, I just got Scarlet Spider in yesterday. Love my Scarlet Spider. And it's my favorite suit, and it resonates with me because it was my first Spider-Man comic, the Scarlet Spider issue #1. Man, I tell you what, when the Scarlet Spider was created back in what year was that? 93? 94? 94, I think, was when Ben Reilly entered the Marvel 616 universe. I absolutely fell in love with him. The first time the Scarlet Spider showed up, and he brought into the Spider-Man story a whole lot of new stuff, impact webbing and web darts and all sorts of things that you would imagine Peter would have been doing. In the comics, when Peter Parker became Spider-Man, he instantly devised a suit, created the web shooters, designed different things, and then nothing. I mean, here's a genius kid that could design all this stuff in a matter of hours or days, and then he went years and didn't design anything else. Now, for the sake of him, he was going to school still and fighting bad guys, so it wasn't like he had any extra time in his day. But Ben Riley brought in a new perspective, more or less, of Spider-Man, where he had made all these new improvements to things. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is a great story. And it was part of the Clone Wars. It was the beginning, more or less, of the Clone Wars when the Scarlet Spider was first introduced to us. And I just absolutely fell in love with him. And I actually literally called Marvel Comics. This was back in the day before the internet was like it is now. The internet's been around for a long time, but it wasn't like it is now, where you can just go to Google and type anything you want and get all the information that you wanted. I tracked down Stan Lee and tried to reach out to him at his office and got as far as his personal assistant. And I literally, all I wanted to do was to tell him, don't kill the Scarlet Spider. Don't kill Ben Riley. He works. He's a great character. And they killed him off. But as you know, in the Marvel Comics lines, it's rare that you're truly dead when you're dead. I mean, they have killed off figures or characters, and but he was never really dead. And then they brought him back more or less, and then has retold the story many times. And I love the Scarlet Spider. So when I seen this PlayStation 4 version of the Scarlet Spider, he was a no-brainer. For fact, he was a no-brainer. I literally bought two of them because I intended to try to figure out some way of customizing him to some degree, of making him more like the original Scarlet Spider from the comics, which he's a great representation as it is. He's not that far off, any way you look at it. I didn't like his feet. So I bought two of them, and I have two of them. And then when my wife's situation became what it is, which is not good, I decided to sell the second one. And he's been on eBay now from day one. It's never even been cracked open. It's still in its original box. And nobody seems to want it. And it's fine. I'll be happy to keep him. I love my Scarlet Spider. And he comes with so many accessories as well. But this is him. And what an amazing piece. I'm full on Spider-Man. Spider-Man is my guy. Spider-Man he's my hero that I connect to mostly out of all of it. It really is. I started off with Superman and Batman when I was young. I think everybody knows of or has probably read a Superman or Batman comic and is very familiar with the story of Superman and or Batman as to how they became who they are. But when I discovered Spider-Man, and I say I discovered him because he was around for 20 years when I discovered him in the 80s, I could instantly connect to him. He became my connection, more or less. And the Scarlet Spider is so beautifully done. It looks so accurate. And actually, in the very first iteration of him, again, he literally ripped the sleeves off of the hoodie. So this would be a torn fabric instead of a sewn and hemmed fabric on the hoodie. He ripped the sleeves off. So that's how that came about. And he didn't have the little ninja toes. The original Spider-Man comic did not. Scarlet Spider from 1994. I think it was 1994 that he came about. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it was 94, maybe 95 that he came out. The original Scarlet Spider did. But this is great. And you can put his little hoodie up either way, however you wish to pose him. The hood goes totally up over his head. And it looks great. It really does. I probably will move this camera. It came with him, but I don't necessarily like the camera on this guy. It needs to be on a different Spider-Man. Oh, God, I love my Scarlet Spider. And I have one for sale on eBay. Should you want a brand spanking one, if you missed it, brand spanking new one. Because I think now they're becoming more and more difficult to find. They really are. But yeah, he's great. I picked up the Mark 7 maquette with the exploding base, and it really looked, and you really look forward to. I bet that's going to look beautiful. You're absolutely right. I own a lot of Mezco 112 figures, and now 13 1/6 scale figures, and the details are so much better to get in hand and on photos. I am not kidding you. I'm glad you agree because, especially if you're a photographer, I've seen some amazing photographs that some of you guys have taken over the years with these figures, and it's because of the quality that they've given you for us to begin with. It just makes it so much better. You're able to get into nice, clean, tight shots, putting your figures up, and it looks really good. I mean, it looks really good. It really does. 1/6 scale seems to be the smallest that you can get with the highest quality. The larger you get more and more quality. Like 1/4 scale figures are remarkable. The attention to detail that they can do to them. But gosh, you're talking about an 18-inch figure for a quarter scale. You know, that's this right here. You know, it's 1.5 figures. That's how big an 18-inch quarter scale figure would be. He would be this tall next to Spider-Man here. So the detail is going to be better. But my God, if I don't have the room to store all my 1/6 scale figures, where the hell am I going to put 1/4 scale figures? And on top of that, there's not a complete collection of 1/4 scale figures. So, for instance, when I was playing Pokemon for all those years, I mean, I was a completist. I had to have every single Pokemon that there was. I collected them all, and just like the song says, "Gotta catch them all." And that's kind of how I am with my 1/6 scale figures. Like, if my Iron Man collection doesn't get complete, I'm gonna be beside myself, you know. And that's why how I'm talking about tracking down the Captain Americas and the Black Widows and trying to get these pieces that I miss. Odin, for instance. So we have Odin, we have Avengers Loki, we've got I've got to get a Hela. I sold my Hela to pay the bills last month for my wife's hospital bills. I want to track down another Hela. Thank God they got a Mark 47 come out. I sold a Mark 47 just to pay bills. I put a Mark 5 up. I'm glad nobody bought that. I need to take that off eBay. But I was selling figures just to pay household bills. And but now I have a hole. I want my Hela back. Kate Blanchett did an amazing Hela. And even though they never gave us a true Kate Blanchett that I really wanted, which was without the helmet, it doesn't matter. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous, and it's an amazing piece. And I've got to get her back into my collection. Got to collect them all. Got to catch them all, right? So your question: did you get the 1/6 scale Spider Woman, Lady Crimson? Dude, I so much want that. Again, it was another one of those that slipped through the cracks. One of the ones that I absolutely regret the most slipping through the cracks, believe it or not, more so than Netflix Punisher, is the camouflage Tony Stark. I it was golly, I don't know. I think he was $100 for the clothing outfit, and there was two different companies that made him, and one did an okay representation, the other one did an amazing representation. And I wish I'd gotten me a camouflage Tony Stark outfit. You know, that's the one in the beginning of Infinity Wars when you're sitting there talking with Doctor Strange and Bruce Banner shows up talking about Thanos is on his way, and he's like, "Who are you talking about? Never even heard him." And they go out there, and here's the Black Order. I forget which guys it was. It was the Wizard and the big guy. I don't remember their names. They're showing up there in New York, and that's when we see Tony, tap his chest, and whoop, comes the nanosuit, and it's the Mark 50. And God, I wish I'd gotten that gosh darn camouflage suit. And I regret it because I can't find the doggone thing anywhere at all. And I so much want that. But yeah, that Lady Crimson, so here I am. I know for fact that I've got Captain Marvel coming. I've got R2D2, Hot Toys R2D2 coming. All these figures that are coming in the next 30 days or so at $300+ a pop. So I've got, a lot of figures that are coming into the house. And at the same token, I'm craving the Joy. I'm craving the Lady Crimson. I'm craving Peter B. Parker. All these other figures. And it's like, oh my God, why is it that money is no object? I mean, why is it that money's always what cuts that back? But yeah, Spider Woman, or Lady Crimson as made by the Toys era, looks beautiful. Upon examination of the figure pictures, I don't necessarily care that there's like a hairline in between her mask hair, her forehead there. And I don't like how they did that. And I thought, as looking at it, that I would probably find some way of. I don't see a zipper. I see a sewn up place in her back. But I would probably rip that seam open, take her out of the body that she is, and put her into a Fison body. That literally would be what I would do with Lady Crimson as Spider Woman. There were so many Spider Women, or girls, or however you want to look at it. Silk and Spider Gwen. I've got Spider Gwen's coming as well. The Spider Girls and I think one of the names was May Parker. I think was a Spider Girl, their daughter or something, right? Mary Jane's and Peter's daughter. There's so many different Spider Women and Spider Girls that I would love to have. I would like for them to do a Silk. I would like for them to do the Spider Girl clone with the red outfit and the white spider on her chest. Oh my God. I would love to have all of that as well. I sure would. But no, I don't have a Lady Crimson, but I would love to get a hold of a Toys Era Lady Crimson, aka Spider Woman. Would love to have that. Even though she's a piece that was never really loved by anybody, it's part of the thing. You know, it really is. With the multiverse Spider-Man and Deadpool showing us all the different universes, it's good to have all that. That's like one of the things that I've always said was I'd like to get a Deathstroke. I don't think I have got a single DC character here. I've got Lady Death, I got Vampirella, but they're not DC. I've got Nier Automata, that's not DC. I've got Scooby, I got Daphne and Velma from Scooby-Doo. I've got 300. Okay, 300 possibly could be a DC. It's a Frank Miller movie. He's big Batman fame. So I don't know if he really is DC. So I have Leonidas over here, and I have no problem with DC, but I just don't have any DC pieces. I mean, my Marvel collection is over 200 pieces. Where am I going to put the DC collection? But the whole story of Deadpool coming into existence through the Marvel Universe was he was a totally complete ripoff of Deathstroke from DC. So, in my mind, because we have DC Marvel crossovers, Marvel obviously knows about DC. Spider-Man's made many references to Batman and Superman in the comics, reading about him. And then, of course, with the Marvel crossovers, they've actually counted or even been fused into these characters. I would love to have a Deathstroke on the Deadpool shelf. Because it really is Deadpool in the DC universe. Because Deadpool really is Deathstroke in the Marvel universe. So yeah, I would love to have a Deathstroke. Question 091 says, okay, come back, Iron Man. It will never be the same. Right. Just picked him up. Who did you pick up, Frank? The Scarlet Spider? Doctor Strange. Yeah, there you go. Say, Mason, you would love Superior Spider-Man on that comic book run. Is so good. I've not read any comics in a long time. I really haven't. So I don't even know where we are in comic book reality, to tell you the truth. Since Hot Toys is doing Venom Pool, right? I have that on order. How soon do you think we can get a Venom in that size? Because that bullet head, the poison, is up there in price now, and I'm saving to get one if I can find him. I love my bullet head Venom. And speaking of, that's another piece that I missed on was Venom from, the poisons, more or less. I think that's what they called them. The other Venoms that came out based off of the Venom movie. This Venom, oh my God, by Bullethead, what a piece. Holy smokes. If you got him, you made a wise decision. If you passed on him, you're going to regret it, I could truthfully say. He's not without flaws, and he's not the Venom that we have in the movies now. But he's Venom as we know him and love him for the last 30 years. And Venom's story has been told 2 or 3 times as well. One of the things that they've gone and done, the Marvel Universe has, is they've put Deadpool into Venom's life. So, originally, the very original incarnation of Venom was in Secret Wars number 8, where Peter goes to get his suit repaired. And he puts his hand under the machine, and a little blob lands in his hand, and he gets the new black and white suit. So they've now made a comic where Deadpool is actually involved in the Secret Wars. He goes to the machine, sticks his hand under there, gets the Venom symbiote. Deadpool's a little whacked. And that's how Venom becomes more or less crazy. Now, they've shown us an entire planet of Venom symbiotes. And they all look very similar to this. And his children look similar to this. And God, could you imagine if they made his children, specifically Carnage? But there was like a whole other 6 Venom children that they made in the comics. God, that'd be great. But yeah, this piece, oh my God. He is amazing. And of course I've ordered the Venom pool because again, Spider-Man's my guy, and this really tells the Spider-Man story, and this is Venom. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And he looks great, and this is how I have him posed myself. And I don't remember where this lobster claw came from originally, but this is the one that I'm using, and it works well. He's actually suspended. He's floating over the ground here. He's about ½ inch off the ground, and he's just coming to get you, as you would imagine the Venom would be doing. We are Venom, right? Then how they would be coming at you, right? And here he is standing next to Scarlet Spider for a size comparison. And he's not even full on at his height because I have his feet bent. So yeah, he's easily 18 inches tall, maybe 16, but he's big, and that's how you would expect him to be. Remember, Venom, Eddie Brock was an Olympic weightlifter in the comics originally, but he wasn't 8 feet tall. But when he became Venom, he became larger. So the question was a Venom in that size. I think once Avi Arad and the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the Sony universe, I guess it's the Sony universe that Venom resides. I think once they finally get to an agreement as to their desire of how Venom is going to be, because they're not done with the story, I think we will get a Hot Toys Venom. They've got to get the spider on his chest. They've got to. They have to. That is who Venom is. So they kind of did a different way of telling the story. So we've got Eddie Brock in San Francisco, which he went in the comics when he left New York, when he was injured, and that's where he healed himself. But he had already interacted with Spider-Man, because Spider-Man he was already Peter. And so the Venom and Eddie Brock in the comics in San Francisco were post-Peter. The Venom and Eddie Brock in San Francisco now is pre-Peter, post-Daily Planet. He knows all about J. Jonah Jameson. He's pissed off with J. Jonah Jameson. So there's got to be some sort of tie-in there. And I thought there would have been a tie-in at that time, and it never happened. But they've got to get Peter involved, because some of that is them knowing the secret identity and the inability for Peter's spider sense, his little, what was it that Mae West called it? Aunt May called it his little tingle or something. I forget how she said it. But he's Venom doesn't affect Spider-Man's danger sense. He has no idea Venom's there, which is a huge ability of Spider-Man. That's how he dodges bullets, because of his danger sense, his spider sense warning. So yeah, there will be, I believe, a poison once they finally get that fleshed into in the movies. Thank you, Frank. He does look great. I think that the reason why your Spider-Man didn't sell is because the market is flooded with Scarlet Spiders and Astronaut Stan Lees. And I passed on Astronaut Stan Lee. I've got the original Stan Lee that they, well, I don't know about the original Stan Lee, but the autograph signing director's chair Stan Lee, and I love it. And of course, with the loss of Stan, that really, we lost more or less the godfather of Marvel Comics. And this is how I have my stand. So I pass on Astronaut Stan. I don't know if I'll regret that later. Probably not. There was a couple other stands that they made. One was like a Stan Lee representation of when he was in the movie. What movie was that? Mallrats or something. I don't remember what movie it was. But this is how I have Stan with his little pen in his hand. Oh, what did I knock off? His glasses. Oh, joy. Where did his glasses go? His pen in hand, and he's signing an Infinity Gauntlet that a fan has brought him to sign. Oh my God, where did I knock his glasses to? Jeez. Did they fall on the floor just by that little touch? Oh, here they are, right here in his lap. You have to have Stan's glasses on his face. He's got his wristwatch on. I thought this was a great Stan Lee. It is comical. Because, the question was, who is Stan Lee in all of the movies? And people have had many opinions on that. When we've seen him in Astronaut Stan, of course, then the question came that he's a watcher, which would make total sense, considering. And then it was a nice little thought that people had at the end of Endgame that they should have made Steve Rogers Stan Lee. That should have been the Stan Lee cameo. And Stan had been watching them all along. That would have been cool, but it wouldn't have explained the Guardians of the Galaxy cameos. It would have explained everything else, but the Guardians of the Galaxy cameo just wouldn't have made any sense. The Watcher really makes the most sense. So the Astronaut Stan really kind of makes sense as to who he would have been as a Watcher. And I think they even made a comment one time, I think in the comics, of Stan being the Watcher, more or less. But this is how I displayed my Stan. This was a 1/6. This was a third-party gauntlet that was made to go with the Guardians of the Galaxy of Thanos. When I bought this, I was extremely disappointed with it when it arrived, but it works as a prop replica for Stan to sign. And this is how I have my Stan, on his director's chair with his signature on the back, and him signing for a fan his Thanos glove. I think that tells a huge story right there. No doubt about it. Stan the Man. Excelsior! The suit is made of what? The suit of whom? Venom? He's made of like that neoprene, stretchy wetsuit material. So it could be repositioned as needed be. And if I remember correctly, when he came to me, something was loose in his leg or something, and I had to do something to get that right. Something was disjointed from Toys Era when he came. Bullet had 002, so I think what Venom was. But my God, what an amazing piece. I mean, that's Venom. Any way you look at it, you can't argue it. If you have any idea at all, I mean, any faintest idea of who Venom is, you'll recognize this figure. No doubt about it. I won 10 million, right? 100%, 100,000% agree, and 112 still hate and tell me to go play with my dolls. They're not dolls, they're action figures, right? Fractured English, you're jealous. I need that Doctor Strange accessory. You'll love it. If you were to get it, you'll love it. I think you'll love it. Mark 100 Studios did one, and Super MC Toys did one. You're talking about the camouflage suits. Yeah. And I don't remember which one it was that I thought was more accurate. One of those two is dead on. One of those two is like straight from the movie. And the other one is just a little bit off. And I was like, that's the one I need to get. And I never had the money to pull the trigger on it, and I ended up missing it, and I regret that. Totally, I regret that. That is, they made the Tony Stark's Nano Combat Suits. Yes. Nano Combat. I call them the camouflage, but yeah, Nano Combat I think is really a good representation of it. There's no figures like 1/6 scale figures, especially Hot Toys. And Hot Toys quality, even though you and I as collectors joke about the quality because so many times something slips through and there's a problem with it, we laugh about Hot Toys quality. But I think as an industry standard, Hot Toys has set the bar very high for other manufacturers and companies to provide us with figures that are so gorgeous and so dead on in their representations. You know, it when a figure comes and doesn't look like now the actor or actress, we're offended and angry. Where 10 years ago, you didn't expect it to look anywhere near the actor or actress, especially 1/12 scale figures or smaller. You know, the Star Wars scale figures, they don't look exactly like the character. I mean, you're lucky if you can even tell who it is it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? But now we're talking about lifelike representations. We're talking about when you look at this, it's you would have set it next to a photograph of the person under the right lighting and filters. It'd be difficult to tell who was which. I 100% believe that. The Super MC Toys version is still available through eBay sellers. Well, which one was the better one? I don't remember which one it was that looked exactly like. I think it must have been the Mark 100. The MK 100 must have been the one that was dead on. Because for some reason I'm thinking Super MC Toys, that's what's in my head, I may be wrong, was not the one that was perfect. I don't remember. One of them was, when I looked at the two, I was like, oh my God, this one is dead on. Another one was just off. It's kind of like the Spider-Gwens that are coming out. There's two different companies right now that have made Spider-Gwens. The one company has a better head sculpt and better footing. The other one has a better suit. And between the two of them, it appears that you can get a great representation of Spider-Gwen. And I've only ordered the one. I didn't order the other, but I keep getting on that fence thinking, gosh, I ought to get that other one. Same thing with Mantis. There was the insect lady and there was the hypnotist. I think were the two different options depending on who it was that they've promised. And I didn't get the one, which is out now. I've ordered the other, and I'm still waiting on it because, in my opinion, it looked more like the Mantis than the other did. So I've got my Fison figure here to put the suit on when Mantis arrives, and she's still not here. Still waiting on her. My first 1/6 was Sideshow's Deadpool with Headpool. Then I got the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1/6 scale from 3 zeros, and they're so awesome. It's crazy. Do you have any of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1/6 scale figures? I do not. And I loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they came out back in the 90s. There was actually a comic that started them. And then I loved watching the cartoons. And I was a huge TMNT fan. Even the stupid movie that they made was so terribly done and such a, it was laughable. I'm still a huge TMNT fan. But this, again, kind of like the phrase that was used earlier, it didn't make the cut in regards to the money of being able to afford to buy a set of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would love to have them, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, and oh my God, I forgot one of the ninjas. I forgot one of the turtles' names. Sacrilege. Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael. Oh my God. I am so embarrassed. I don't remember all four turtles. Oh my God. No, I don't have the turtles. I wish I had. They look great. Last time I checked, 1/6 kit had the metal Edith glasses in stock too. And, that's another one of those things I say to myself, gosh, so I want to get the Edith glasses. It's so much story there. The matter of fact, the wedding suit Spider Tony Stark is another piece that I really want to add to the collection. It really is a part of the Mark 47 slash Spider-Man Homecoming story. It really is. And oh my God, so many pieces that you wish you could get that you just can't get. But yeah, the Edith glasses would be good. In the Black Panther comic books right now, Killmonger is a symbiote. He looks awesome. Really interesting. Peter Tingle. Yeah, that was it. Sounds like such a sexual innuendo there when they say that. Stan the Man Lee. That's right. Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael. Thank you, Sable Mason. Why did I not get Leonardo? That's the four of them. Siri, do you own that third party? I think it's SW Toys Unmasked Deadpool. I sure did. I unboxed that a couple weeks ago. The Casual Wade. Or are you talking about just the head? And I have both. So here's Casual Wade. Right here. And he looks great. Put in his hand a little bouquet of flowers. See if we can get him to stand on his own, get Venom out of the way. Venom is so big that I don't have him on the Spider-Man shelf. I need to drop several $100s on display cases. Jeez. So that's Casual Wade right there. I don't know if you're talking about Casual Wade or if you're talking about just the head sculpts, and I have both. I have a head sculpt over here on a Deadpool 1. Deadpool. This is how I have Casual Wade displayed. Let's get Stan out of the way. Put you back on the shelf. My friend Shartimus, when he bought his stand, he said, "I can't believe I bought an old man character." Thought it was funny how he said that. So there's Casual Wade. Now, if you're talking about the head sculpt, I have it on Deadpool 1 Deadpool right here. And they are different sculpts, both of them are, but they both look great. If you're a Deadpool collector, you can't go wrong with either. And such a story here. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Deadpool. Every time I turn around, he's got another piece of my collection in his arms. I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's collecting all the little things. We got steampunk Red Sonja's glasses on his head. We got a Spider-Man. He's got his unicorn. We got Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. We've got this chicken that came from Deadpool, Sideshow Deadpool. I don't know whatever else he's got in his hands. Every time I turn around, this dude's shoving. He's got Baby Groot riding the unicorn. Every time I got him, Deadpool's grabbing something and holding on to it. He's out of his freaking mind. Deadpool is. He needs to stay on the shelf and stop screwing with stuff. So over here, I decided to put these little bouquet of flowers in here, imagining that this is what he was bringing his girlfriend home. What was her name? Vanessa? I don't remember her name now. But this I thought was great. He's got his mask in his left hand and the flowers in his right hand. And I really enjoyed also that they gave us hands. Kind of like the question on Red Skull. Was it just his skull that turned red, or was his entire body? So we know, of course, Deadpool's entire body became deformed as such when they manifest in the TRN 514. I think it's TRN 514 Earth, the Fox story of Deadpool. His entire body turned as such, like avocado, or its cancer-ridden self did this, and it's the only way of getting the hands as well. So you can buy a head sculpt. But if you want the hands, you've got to get the Casual Wade. And I love the Casual Wade. Great buy. And he so belongs 100% on the Deadpool shelf. And I have him standing with the little Headpool from Sideshow Deadpool. Which I love the Sideshow Deadpool because it's a good representation of Deadpool from all the comics. And it works. And again, Deadpool belongs in every universe. Every universe Deadpool belongs in. And I like it. I'm happy I got both of those, that head sculpt and the Casual Wade. Now, imagine 1/6 life like Usagi Yojimbo. Usagi Yojimbo, help me out. Who's that? I would like to see if that's. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. I probably should know who that is, but I don't know. Was that the dog? From who is that? Is that from Black Panther story? I don't remember. I'm sorry. Golden Gun Gamer, glad to have you. I made an Avengers music video. Oh, I bet that's cool. Is it on YouTube? Deadpool is one of us. Too much crap we can't hold. Right? And I love Deadpool's interaction with breaking that fourth wall. I don't think it made it into the movie, but it was the preview of the Deadpool 2 movie where he sees the guy getting mugged and he goes off into the phone booth, which phone booths have long been gone. But we're kind of a question of where Deadpool actually exists, because we've seen him in the mansion with the Young Avengers, so which would be around 80s, right? Isn't that how that storyline has gone? With kind of like the retelling of the Avengers, not the Avengers, the X Men. We've seen at the mansion with the young X Men. So would Wade, as we know him, be in 2020, or would he be in the 1980s or 1990s, whenever that takes place? So that kind of goes along with that question of um, where does Deadpool really live? Where is he? What year is he really in? I don't know. But yeah, Deadpool is definitely one of us. So yeah, I like that when he was in the phone booth, because there's no phone booths now, and he's changing out, and Stan Lee says something. He goes, "Zip it, Stan Lee." Oh, I thought that was great. I thought that was great. And I always like how in the movies they did a really good job of doing that. How he just turns to us and starts talking to us personally. Oh, it's great. Love that. Drew me walking out of Frank and Sons in City of Industry, California. That's isn't that the place where the guy makes the capes that are remarkable? Frankensons, isn't that like a big comic store down in Southern California? Rabbit from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, the Samurai Rabbit. Yeah, he was part of the original group, believe it or not. One of the cronies that hung out with them, and he never really went anywhere. It's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Rabbit was one of them. It sure was. Siri, should I get the Laura Kinney 1/6 kit? I don't even know what that is. I think Deadpool is in whatever year he says he is in. That would be true. You couldn't make a more true statement. Deadpool exists wherever Deadpool tells us he exists. And I've collected. I'm collecting all the different multiverses of Deadpool. One of my favorite pieces that I've made, and it's an ongoing project, is my and gosh dang it, I don't remember which one is which. There's Kid Deadpool and there's Deadpool Kid. One's a cowboy and one is the child Deadpool. And this was a kit bash from taking the uh, what was it? It was the Gentle Giant bus set that came with squirrel pool, dog pool, another head pool right here. And I shoved in his mouth a grenade from Sideshow Deadpool. It came with these three pieces and a 1/6 scale bust of Kid Deadpool. Not the Deadpool Kid. The Deadpool Kid is the cowboy. Kid Deadpool is the child Deadpool. And so I then found a Deadpool figure that was this big, and I've stained it up to get it the color of this outfit, and cut the head off, and have the hands from the Deadpool. What's she called? Lady. I forget the true name of her. The Toys R Us, I believe, figure. And I now have a Kid Deadpool, and I love this guy. He's coming along well. And so yeah, I'm collecting trying to make a iteration of the Deadpools from all the different universes of Deadpool. And so here's my Kid Deadpool, and the sabers came from the Gentle Giant 1/6 scale bust as well, and so did the little chest piece. But yeah, this is my Kid Deadpool. I love him. He's turning out well. He looks good on the Deadpool shelf. I mean, I'm go back and forth on weathering that helmet. I don't know if I want to or not. I go back and forth on that. I really don't know who Laura Kinney is. I'm sorry. I do think in Deadpool 2, they do say what your cable is from and what year he travels back to. Oh. I have to check that out. I love my cable, by the way. It's called The Mechanic. It was made by, was it Toys R Us again? I don't remember. What a great piece. That was one that Hot Toys totally passed on. and I'm glad that I got this. Just like the Colossus, I have the Colossus from Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. Two different incarnations, and love them. They fit perfectly on the Deadpool shelf. It's actually the figure X-23 from Logan. That uh, isn't that where he's like without any uniform on? Because wasn't that the story? He was part of the Canadian government. They made him into like a, I don't know, an assassin slash spy, and that was where the woman came from too. What is her name? Was it? God, I'm getting so confused. Psylocke? Was that who his partner was? His love interest, even Wolverine's character? Or no, was X-23 the Deadpool from that X-Men movie? Was X-23 the Deadpool where he'd done away with his mouth and have like the, the diamond eyes or whatever? Oh my God, what an abomination! But got to get one of those because that's Deadpool in another reality. Even though Wade killed him as he was traveling through time, right? You have to put her together. I don't know who Laura Kinney is. Well, I have no problem putting characters together. What was the one? What was one of the ones that I had? Who was it that I poisoned? This came just as a the Loki I was showing you just a little bit ago was just an outfit. This poison is an outfit. Love my poison. A huge video game nut from back in the day. I haven't played video games in a long time, but I fell in love with her from the Street Fighter games, of course. So I had to have me a poison. So this is poison, and she comes just as the clothing and the head sculpt. And then you buy a face and body and put her together. And I did just that for poison. I have no problem buying accessories and putting a piece together. Or kit bashing if I need to get something exactly how I want it to be. Deadpool's a watcher when he wants to be, right? Deadpool Kid. The Deadpool Kid, Deadpool Kid is the cowboy. The Deadpool Kid, right? Isn't that what he's called? The Deadpool Kid? Deadpool Kid and Kid Deadpool. Yeah, I always get those confused. I remember that custom, it was a Mego style 8-inch figure. Ah, yeah, the Deadpool Kid. Kid Deadpool, or whatever. He sure was. He was an 8-inch Mego style figure. He sure was. Thank you very much. And I felt it was perfect. The suit looked very much like the Marvel Cinematic Universe Deadpool suit, and it was easily customizable into my Kid Deadpool. And I'm so happy to have him. And if you guys are able to do that, I think you'll be happy to have him in the collection. He's a piece you'll never find anywhere ever. I don't believe for 1 second that we'll ever get a Kid Deadpool made by anybody. A 1/6 scale. I don't ever see it happening for fact, but he fits my 1/6 scale storyline of the Deadpools. He really does. Totally. Mad respects. I love that Kid Deadpool. Thank you very much. No, his daughter from Laura Kinney. Oh, okay. So that's right. Yes. Yeah. That's his daughter. Oh my God. Or clone, whichever it was. And I don't remember if they actually said which it was, whether it was a clone or actually his daughter, one way or the other. Yeah. Thank you very much. No, God. There have been so many great Wolverine figures, and I would love to collect the X-Men, but again, just the MCU has been huge on me in regards to trying to keep up with that, and Deadpool, and Spider-Man, and all the little side pieces that I get that I think at the time I want and or I do still want, like the Poison. I love her. I'm glad I got her, but she'll never have anybody else. There'll be no other Street Fighter characters that'll go with her. She'll be a standalone. But yeah, Wolverine is a very popular character. There was a time when I would probably even say maybe in the 90s that Wolverine probably surpassed Spider-Man in regards to being the Marvel frontrunner in popularity. Superman is DC's guy, right? Spider-Man has, for the most part, always been Marvel's guy. But I would have to say, in the 90s, I think Wolverine surpassed Spider-Man in regards to popularity and desirability. And so there's a huge fan base of Wolverine out there. And yeah, definitely, if you're telling a Wolverine story, you've got to get X-23. And Laura Kinney, that's her name. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. But oh yeah, she would be a definite. And I haven't seen that piece. Who's selling that right now? And what is it called? That would be some good information. And I like that in what X-Men movie was it? One of the beginning ones. I don't remember which one where he's wearing an outfit that the X-Men outfit, the uniform more or less they put him into as they're flying him off to I think it was the Statue of Liberty to fight. I don't remember who, but he was kind of like complaining about being in the uniform, and what was his name? Scott turned to him and says, "What would you rather, blue and yellow?" Which is a total, you know, homage paid towards his classic uniform. And there have been classic uniform Wolverines that have been made that look great. So 100%, if you're a Wolverine nut, I'm all for getting everything. Like I'm doing with these Deadpools, getting them all. And the Spider-Man. Anything that has to do anything, like I got the Ned, and I made a Mary Jane, my Mary Jane, our Mary Jane, the redheaded Mary Jane. I've got Mary Jane going on. I've got Black Cat up there. I actually have. I was trying to do something else. And I ended up with a Spider-Man that I need to put undies on, so I can have an underwear Spider-Man from PlayStation 4. So yeah, I'm all about that. 100% all about that. Going full bore onto a series or a collection when you're doing it full on, 100%. Got no problem with that at all. So I would have to look at Laura Kinney, but I bet she looks great. I don't. I'm not familiar with her at all. I'm sorry, I'm not. I didn't even know who she was when you mentioned her. But as soon as you said X-Men's daughter from the movie, well, I know exactly who you're talking about. But I've not seen that figure. Kid Pool a while back, and oh, you did one for yourself. Awesome. We used an 8-inch 3A body and made a suit from scratch to match the Sideshow Deadpool. Wow. Good job. Asmus Toy Laura 1/6 scale set. Who's selling that? 1/6 kit? 1/6 Outfitters? Toys Wonderland? Who has that? It's called Laura. Is that literally what it's called? Oh, eBay. Okay. And there are times when I pass on a figure because it doesn't look real enough. Again, it's so funny because 10 years ago, as a matter of fact, the Iron Man from the original ones that came out, the Mark IV and the one of the testing suits, the head sculpt doesn't look very much like Robert Downey Jr. at all, but he's still a requirement. But that's how they came back then. But now, when that third party company made the Happy, which we've been begging for 10 years, and they made the Lord of Beer, Fat Thor, neither one of them really looked like the movie representation of them. So I passed on them both. But it's funny, 10 years ago, I wouldn't have passed on them at all. Now I'm almost becoming a snob. Or it's like, well, gosh, if it doesn't look exactly like it, I have no interest in it. What was I just talking about that I wanted to grab? This time traveling Avengers suit Tony Stark. Love this. It's a good representation of him, but not exactly. The hair color is off. But this is a requirement. If you're telling an in-game story, you have to have this Tony. He's in an Avengers suit that we see him. A Agents of Shield suit when he goes back in time in game to the Marvel Avengers timeline, and this is the outfit that we see him in. And I thought this was 100% dead on purchase, and I'm so pleased that I got this because it is. But the hair's off. It's too silver. It shouldn't be. And it just needs to be repainted or something and throw some wash on there or something to get it darker. But it works. But it's one of the times of figures today not being exactly dead on representations. It's not made by Hot Toys. I think it's made by SW Toys. I don't remember. And but it works. It 100% works for me. And that is what pleases me. Putting him next to, however, see if I can get her here. Oh no! Let's get this over here, and I'll show you what I'm about to talk about. Where'd that little earbud go? Dropped your little earbud. I hope it didn't fall behind the shelf. It'll be gone forever if it did. Oh. Jeez. Oh, here it is. So thank God. So now comparing this suit, this Tony suit, to Maria Hill, we got a problem. Suit colors are off. So this is a Hot Toys Maria Hill. The only Avenger, truthfully, I mean, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. in her outfit. Well, that's not true. Phil Coulson's in his outfit. He always wears a Men in Black suit. And Nick Fury's in his outfit, the two renditions of Nick Fury we've had. But here is an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. in her Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. uniform, which Tony's supposed to be wearing here. And notice, big, huge differences. But this is what I remember in the in-game movie. But it's supposed to be this, isn't it? Shouldn't it be that dark? I don't know. But Maria Hill is another one of these pieces that not everyone has in their collection. It's an absolute yes buy for me. But so many of you, I'm sure, passed on her. I think I remember even she sat for sale for years. You could have bought her brand new. One of the questions I have specifically are on the, not sure what they call them, but more or less the time traveling suits, the white suits. So far, we've been shown Tony and Cap, and we were shown a War Machine, and that's the only ones we've been shown. Now, the question that I have, and you can still buy a Tony now. I don't remember whether Cap was ever pre-ordered, put out for pre-order, but Tonys are still available, and I'm scared that that might be the only one that they did. Just like this guy. They showed us the number one. All right? At all the shows, number one was the one that went. He's the gray one. When it came to manufacture, number 3 is what they presented us. They never did the other 4. You never get a 1, 2, 4, or 5. And Terrence, out in I believe he lives in Singapore, had paid somebody to do the others. And he has the other 4, and I think he even has one without any numbers on it that he had made. And I've struggled with that. And if I was a good painter, if I had the money to drop on $200+ in each one of these, plus pay someone another $200 or whatever it is to paint them, I would love to have the full set of all 5 of Iron Legions. But it's such a task to paint these out, all the different little areas where all these little colors are. And this white is not white, it's like a pearl white. So you'd have to paint over the white, paint over the blue, change the numbers from 3 to 1, and change out the colors. And obviously it would not be cheap, and definitely not a task that I'd be capable of doing, but they never made the other four. That's kind of my fear right now with the time traveling white suit Tony Stark that they have made, and they showed us the Iron Patriot, and they showed us a Steve. I don't know if Steve's been put up for pre-order or not. I don't remember, but I'm afraid we're not going to get the others. And what I'm afraid you're going to have to do is buy a bunch of Tonys and put Hawkeye's head on there and Ant-Man's helmet on there and whatever else to make those suits. And I'm so afraid that that's going to be the case. And how the heck are you going to do a Hulk? There's not been any tease whatsoever of Professor Hulk in that outfit. There's a Professor Hulk on pre-order, and I think he hasn't even sold out. I don't know. But a couple of things have happened. One, Hot Toys has inundated us with figures now. But there's so many figures. When you've got such a cast as the Avengers, and everybody wants every single iteration of that, or they want their grouping of that character that they most closely associate with, like Captain America or Black Widow or Tony or whoever main character is your character, you want all those iterations. And in Infinity War and Endgame, there's so many different stories going on there, and so many different times we see a character in a different outfit. They just can't make whatever it is, 22 different characters times 3, 66 characters from one movie. It wouldn't be a good business decision on their behalf, and we just don't have the money to buy all those figures. So they have to carefully weigh out which figures they're going to make, which ones they can sell, and which ones are not. So many times a figure like Mark 33 Silver Centurion and the Mark 17 Heartbreaker, they sat forever for sale, brand new, years on the shelf, and people just weren't buying them. And they're great pieces. I love my Mark 17. It's one of my favorite Iron Man. It really is. And pieces like Electro, and I didn't even count him in my Spider-Man. I forgot he's over there. I paid $50 for him, brand spanking new from Big Bad Toy Store. I paid $200 for him, but they gave me like $150 store credit. So essentially, I paid $50 for him. And when Hot Toys is cranking out a figure that somebody has to discount to 25% of the value of it because nobody's buying them, Chitauri soldiers. Another thing, the Chitauri soldiers. We're begging for the Black Order. And hell, they still have Chitauri soldiers they can't sell. So how can you convince Hot Toys to make bad guys when we're not buying the bad guys that were there in the first place? And they were really in game, and they were in Avengers. The Outriders. We get 2 different busts from, I think one's with War Machine and one's with Captain America, of dead Outriders. And they showed us an Outrider figure at San Diego Comic-Con. It'll never happen. We won't get that guy. It's not going to happen. So I'm pleased we got a Maria Hill. She was literally just a secondary figure that was just there. I'm so pleased that she was able to negotiate or force them to do that. And if you guys got one, I'm sure you love her. But she's just there. You either love her or hate her. How many movies was she in? 5, I think, maybe? So I'm so pleased she got her a figure made of her. And it looks great. No question about it, who she is. But there's your difference in your suits. And so I don't know if this is supposed to be this color or if this is really the color of it. I really don't know. I'm sorry. But I thought that was interesting when he came out and it's supposed to be this suit or, an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. suit, and it's of that color. Maybe that's the way the color is supposed to be on. Let's see, where are we at? Catch up on some of the chats. Okay, I'm just like you, Siri. If the head sculpt is off, it's a pass for me. Shartimus Prime, good to see you, man. My friend, thank you, Shartimus. Good seeing you. Good morning to you. What a great guy Shartimus is. I love that guy. Lou Vega, I don't know which classic-looking Hot Toys Iron Man to get. There's the Mark 80 and the Concept Arc Mark 47. 2 total different figures there. Here's the Mark 47. And this piece is definitely a must-have for a true Iron Man collector. It truthfully is different. The concept art Mark 46, not 47, right? Concept art Mark 46. Truthfully different piece than the 46 and the 47. It's not just a repaint. The thigh has a different molding on it. Originally, if I remember correctly, when I was looking at the concept art prototype pictures of this when it went up for pre-order, there was also some differences in the shoulder and the bicep, but they didn't make it to production. The only one that actually made it to production is just one little line on the thigh, and it's different. So it's a 100% buy for an Iron Man collector. If he's available for you, you can't go wrong getting him because he lights up so beautifully. This piece does. The Mark 47 is the one that looks like Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Iron Man with the red and silver, and that's a great piece too. 46 and 47 you can't go wrong on whatsoever. The Mark 85 is a totally different piece. Obviously, he's not been released yet, but it depends on if you're just going after one Iron Man. If you want just one, my opinion of just one, if you're only going to get one Iron Man, and one Iron Man is going to be it. My opinion, Mark 7 for fact. That is the epitome. That is the full-on red and gold Iron Man. If only one for your collection, that. Now, if you're telling the in-game story, you're telling the whole Infinity War, Mark 85. Because there's the culmination of 10 years of movies, 15 years of time frame in that Mark 85. You know, that final moment when Tony, again, proves to us that he is Iron Man. 100%. So, depending on what story you're telling, if you just want an Iron Man for your collection, that's Iron Man, Mark 7. Hands down. But if you're telling the in-game story or the Infinity Saga or that line, and you only are getting one, Mark 85. But the 46 and 47 is great. If this guy's still available, get him. This is going to be one of those pieces. Unless they made 30,000 of the doggone things, one of these days you're going to regret saying, dang, I should have got that Mark 46 concept. I got to tell you, man, all the little lights on these guys, the 46 and 47, are amazing. What an amazing looking piece when this guy lights up. He's amazing. If you were to fire him up, sheesh. My goodness. So there you go, Lou. I hope that answered your question. We need to talk about the Falcon and Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki teaser trailer. My God, there's a lot going on. What's it called? WandaVision, right? WandaVision? Isn't that the television show that's coming out? By the way, I watched Picard. Oh my God, what an amazing show. I am so tempted to pay for CBS All Access to be able to watch Picard. I became so disenfranchised with the retelling of Star Trek in the movies, the last movies that they've made, the Kelvin line, and Discovery. What a huge disappointment, in my opinion. You know, I'm classic a TNG story. That's my Star Trek. Classic TOS, TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. All of that Star Trek is canon, and it's the Star Trek that I most closely associate with. Any of those. Kirk, Picard, Janeway, Worf, Cisco, all of those. I mean, that's my Star Trek. Kelvin Line, not my Star Trek. Discovery, definitely not my Star Trek. I've even accepted Jonathan Archer's Enterprise as my storyline. But Discovery and the Kelvin Line, I really struggle with. Watching the Picard, oh my God. If you are any type of a TNG Star Trek fan, you've got to see Picard. The first episode is free on YouTube. You can watch that one. CBS All Access, put it on YouTube. You can find it, and that's how I watched it. And it's so... I'm literally looking at my wife saying, we may really need to consider spending the $6 or whatever it is on CBS All Access just to be able to watch this series. The first episode is so promising. I was blown away by it. If you've not seen it, go check it out. But yeah, gosh, there's so much coming out. All these different television series of Marvel, of WandaVision, and all of these things. What a time. What a time to be in the hobby, right? Aiden, you're talking about the Mark 85 is the one to get, right? There you go. Um, if we are paying good money for these figures, we want good likenesses, more bang for our buck. I'm with you, especially now that they're starting to be around $300 for a base figure, right? Holy smokes! There was a time when they were under $200. Do you own the Hot Heart Wade Wilson? I want to make that purchase. Hot Heart Wade Wilson. I don't know that one. I want to make the purchase, but I don't know about the head sculpt. Or should I pass and get that casual Wade you have? I don't know about the Hot Heart Wade Wilson. I missed that one. I'll have to check that out. There's a Wade out there that I don't know about. Who made that? Jarvis, kind of wish I had Maria Hill. I love her. She's a filler piece, but she really tells the story. I just got WS Nick Fury. Oh, yeah, Winter Soldier Nick Fury. That's the Nick that I have. I wish I'd got the Avengers Nick Fury, but I have the Nick Fury that comes with the sling, and I bought him new. But the original Nick Fury is one I want to track down. It comes with a suitcase for the oh my God, what's it called? The cube that Red Skull's after, and we see again in Captain Marvel. I really want one of those Nick Furies. On clearance years ago, after it came out, the Shield characters have been secondary for my displaying. Yeah, and so many of Shield tell so much of a story. It's so funny. Sometimes people go through a full-on rant of a movie rendition or a reiteration or iteration of a character. I didn't hear anybody whatsoever complaining of Samuel L. Jackson portraying Nick Fury. Looks nothing like the comics. Nothing like the comics. But I didn't hear anybody complaining. I love it. I think Samuel L. Jackson did an amazing Nick Fury. And I sure did love his motherfucker, by the way, at the end of Infinity War. And I love that how Captain Marvel shows up. Where's Fury? You know what I mean? Oh my God. It was so perfect seeing Samuel L. Jackson say, and right when he dissolved. Perfect! If you could have got him to say it ever, that was the time to do it. Because we know Samuel L. Jackson, that's his tagline. In every character he has, almost without fail, someplace in the movie he says, motherfucker. That's his word. That's it. And by the way, we can say that because this is not made for kids. I should have said at the beginning of the thing, this is for adults, ages 15 and up, or what most of these characters say. Some of them even say 18 and up. If you're under the ages of 13, you really shouldn't be on this channel. You really shouldn't. This is not geared towards children. Knowing Hot Toys, they're most likely doing that with Tony and the white suits. You're talking about not making any more? Yeah. I'm almost afraid to tell you guys that. If you want to get the white suits and you want to put Hawkeye and you want to put Ant-Man and the others in there, you're going to have to buy Tony suits. You're going to have to buy Tony suits if you want to get your Avengers set up. And you're going to have to find someone that's going to make you a custom Hulk, Professor Hulk into the suit. And you're going to have to find someone that's going to make you a custom raccoon. I don't know. I don't know why they won't do, as Thor likes to call him, rabbit. I don't know why they won't do a rocket raccoon in that. They really need to. And they really need to do a War Machine. And if they at least touch those, then, you know, the Tonys are still for sale. And there's a reason why. Because just as you said, knowing Hot Toys, that's it. That's all we're going to get. Even though all they got to do is put a freaking head sculpt on it. Maybe that's their opinion to us. Maybe their opinion is, what's your complaint? Grab your extra Ant-Man head sculpt, grab you a Hawkeye head sculpt and throw it on there. And there you have it. I think that might be the case. So if you're wanting the white suits, I forget what they call those time-traveling suits, you're probably going to have to crank out some of the Tonys and go that direction. Because we don't have a classic comic-looking one. I guess you're talking about the Iron Man. I think you're the one that said earlier Mark 85. But yeah, I think Mark 7 is definitely, if you're just buying one, Mark 7. I want Hot Toys to make a Taskmaster 1/6 scale from the movie and for PS4 Spider-Man game. What are your thoughts? I want them to make every single one of those Spider-Man. Every one. I wanted the Raimi Spider-Man. I want the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I want them all. I want every single Spider-Man from PS4. Every one. Every one. The Miguel O'Hara's, all of them. I want them all. I want them all. All of them. All of them. All of them. Crank them out. Don't stop the Hot Toys wheels manufacturing Spider-Man until you've made every single PS4. And then go on to the other Spider-Man. Make them all. Give me all 1,000 iterations of Spider-Man. I don't even care. I'll buy every one of them that come out in multiples even. I'll buy them. Oh man, I am so much a Spider-Man that have been so for years since the '80s. Literally, the early '80s is when I discovered Spider-Man. What is that? 90, 2000, 35 years, easily. Come on. Yeah, I love Spidey. Simple as that. Iron Man wasn't even somebody I even knew that much about from the comics. I bought Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099 when that was coming out. I bought them all. I bought all the annuals. I bought so much Spider-Man. It's not even funny yet. Too. I consumed Spider-Man. I really loved Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. And when the Marvel Cinematic Universe came out with Iron Man, it became a passion of going after these 1/6 scale collectibles. And I never tracked down the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, never tracked down the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans made by Hot Toys. And they're still available, and they're a pretty penny, and you'll pay for them. And I guess there's some problems with some of the suits. I think this Black Spider-Man has a suit problem, and I think the Tobey Spider-Man has a suit problem. I don't know which happens. Um, but yeah, if they were to crank those out in PS4 styles, oh my God. I hope that they make every single one of them. And yeah, they need to give us the full gambit of what's going on with the Black Widow movie. And they probably won't make a Taskmaster. But isn't there something going on with Taskmaster also? Isn't he part of somebody else's story? For some reason, the Taskmaster comes to my mind as there's a connection between him and someone else other than just Black Widow. He's involved with somebody, and I don't remember what his connection is, which makes him a little more important than just the third wheel in the Black Widow story. And I still believe we're going to see Tony in Black Widow in a new Iron Man suit. I have nothing to go on other than my own feeling on that. I've not seen anything in writing other than an IMDb post that Robert Downey Jr. is rumored to be in the movie, and I believe that it takes place at the Homecoming time frame, Civil War Homecoming time frame. I really think we're going to see an Iron Man suit in there. If they put one in there, oh my God, I don't even know what to say. That's truly my hope and my belief that we're going to see something there. I got the 30 Prime Bumblebee Blitzwing in. Love them. And I'm a big Transformers fan, of course. I've got my Bumblebee Camaro. I've got many of the different various sizes of that my car in Maisto diecast and the MP10, I think it is, Transformer pieces. And I've got a few Bumblebees, but I wish that they make that Bumblebee statue. They make the second movie, the third movie, the fourth movie. They never made that first movie Bumblebee, which is what my car is supposed to represent. And I regret that they don't. I hate that they don't. I've got the bust of Bumblebee from that, made by 3A or 30. I don't remember who it was. But I really want them to make the full-on statue. They never did. They never did. I wish that they did. God, I wish that they did. Captain Marvel, next one for me, and Cumex Sulu. I've got Captain Marvel on order. I ordered both of those, the one with the coat and the other one because I wanted to display Captain Marvel as a head sculpt, and I wanted to display Captain Marvel in the helmet. And all the controversy surrounding the Captain Marvel movie when that first came out, and even my feelings of the movie when I seen it, it didn't stop me from wanting to get the figure. Not one iota. And one of the things that they showed us in one of the Hot Toys previews was the green suit Captain Marvel, and they showed the guy, and I don't remember his name, that hung out with her, more or less the one that was keeping her under his thumb. Both of those pieces they showed as upcoming, and neither one of them happened, and neither one of them will happen because I think of the lackluster sales of Captain Marvel. And the thought has even come, do you consider changing out the red, blue, and yellow Captain Marvel suit for a green one? And I would say that would be virtually impossible to do. And I don't know if anybody would ever be willing to make a green suited Captain Marvel, but it tells a part of the story. It's almost required for her to be part of the core. You know, that's there's so much stories that should be told that aren't, and can be told in our figures and our collections. There's just not anybody that makes those, and you know, the talent required on that is so huge, and the people that are capable of doing that are so few that it's such a demand on that talent of you and us that are able to do that. We just end up missing out on so much. It's like Happy, still waiting on a quality Happy, and he's been around for 10 years or 15 years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe time frame, right? And yeah, Captain Marvel's coming. She's shipping, so that's another one of the pieces that's keeping me from buying all these other pieces that I want, because I don't want to have to drop some money on my Captain Marvels. And I'm R2D2 when he arrives. Love R2D2. I've got every single R2D2 that Sideshow and Hot Toys has made so far, and all the renditions of them, and the BB-8s. And I've got a Jawa with the Power Droid on order. And I love Star Wars. I've been a Star Wars fan from the beginning. But again, when you've only got so much money you can spend on toys, collectible action figures, you have to really be careful on doing that. So I've limited to the Astromechs, the R2D2s, some C3POs, and the BB-8s. I'm building the Stormtroopers to go along with my land speeder that I have. I've got the Rey only because she was a requirement in order to be able to buy the first BB-8. But after seeing the last Star Wars movie, I'm glad I have Rey. I think that she had a how do I say this? I think they did her well finally. They made her someone that I cared for finally in that third movie. And the third movie could have been so much better, or the ninth movie, however you want to look at it, the final movie, the Rise of the Skywalker. It really could have been so much better, but I ended up liking the Rey at that point. I'm glad that I have her, and I put her in a Fison body. So again, it's like I was talking about taking Lady Crimson, putting her in a Fison body. There are some pieces that you just have to do that to. And Rey's got such cute knees. I decided that we have to see her knees and we have to have her shoulders. And so I put Rey in a Fison body. So this is the Hot Toys Rey in a Fison. And I love her. I've always loved her, but didn't really care for her. You know what I mean? So she's on display. She's not in a box. She's not hidden away. And I spent a lot of time getting her and changing the skin color to make it match her head sculpt because she wasn't suntanned or pale. She was different, so I used some makeup and stained the body, and I made sure that her shorts were high enough that we could see her knees and get the shoulders here because this is a seamless Fison body, and it works perfectly well. And I think they finally gave Rey some respect and made her a lovable character in this last movie. I didn't care for her in her first two movies, but I'm pleased with her now, and I'm glad I have her. Will I be buying another Rey? No, I won't. And unfortunately, I won't be able to continue buying a whole bunch of Star Wars because there's so much Marvel stuff out there that I can't get Star Wars. But Star Wars is one of my original loves. I mean, I'm go back to the original. I mean, I'm in elementary school when the first movie came out, so I've been there from the beginning, and a huge Star Wars fan and a nut, and had all the little Kenner figures and I mean, I had the ones now that are worth buco bucks. The original Jawas with the plastic vinyl capes and the Darth Vaders with the lightsabers. I had them all. They're long gone. Long, long gone. They probably got thrown away through one of the many moves that my family has made over the years. It's like, what do you need this little $3 Star Wars figure for? It's junk. Toss it. Nobody wants to buy this stuff. Oh my God, I'd be a millionaire by now. Oh no. Actually, years before Samuel Jackson was cast, a comic book artist made Nick Fury look like Samuel Jackson without him knowing. Really? Interesting. Taskmaster is always hired by somebody else, usually AIM. Okay. Do you think they will do any PS4 Spider-Man villains? That's a good question. The villains are hard to sell. Again, like I said, Electro sold for $50. I mean, just until recently, you could still go on to Big Bad Toy Store and buy them brand new for $50. And what a great buy in my regards. I love Jamie Foxx playing Electro. It was just a poor movie. Just wasn't done well enough. But villains are so difficult to get rid of. Chitauri soldiers. I think you can still buy brand new Chitauri soldiers. So with the villains being an unloved group of characters, I think if they were to make any villain, it would be Black Cat. Truthfully, if they were to make any villain. But no, I don't see that happening. And like I said, I think we would be very lucky if they make all the PS4 Spider-Man, which I don't think they're going to make. I mean, they showed us, what was it, the advanced suit Spider-Man? Was that the one that they showed us? No. What is it? There's one that they showed us at Comic-Con last year, which there hasn't been any pre-order on, which makes me think that it's been scrapped. It was the next one in line. And even though they showed us like this little miniature grouping that they made with some different Spider-Man in it, and I would love them to make, the Spirit Spider-Man and all of these. I've got the Negative Suit Spidey I'm unboxing, I think, next week. I think I'm unboxing my Negative Suit Spidey. And I've got the Jose, is it Jose Gonzalez Vampirella I'm unboxing, I think, the week after that. I bought every Spider-Man that comes out. I love the Spider-Man. I don't think we're gonna get a villain. And if we do, it would probably be Black Cat. I mean, I've never played the PS4 game. I've seen some images of it. I'm almost positive I remember seeing Black Cat in there. Maybe I'm talking out of my side of my neck, but I think villains are a rarity. And one of you, I forget who it is, are a villain collector specifically, and that's where your focus is. So I know that you really want the villains, but they're just not loved. And it's always been my opinion that you can't have a superhero without a supervillain. There's always been that debate. Was the villain created because of the superhero, or was the superhero created because of the villain? And the villain is out there destroying the city and causing problems and whatever else. And some people will even argue that that villain was made only because there was the superhero, that the superhero caused the need of the supervillain. And a lot of villains are misguided. A lot of villains, like Thanos is a huge villain. In his mind, he's the good guy. And then you have the anti-heroes like Venom. Started off as a villain, but really he was like a neutral, chaotic character. He really wasn't bad. He was just a beast, more or less, on animal instinct. And then he decided he wanted to become a hero, and he ends up being an anti-hero. And you have that whole anti-hero thing like the Punisher. He's a hero, but he's really kind of a bad guy. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man follows a code of ethics, more or less, where he goes out of his way totally not to try to kill you. He even talks about when he is duking it out with somebody he's never encountered, he pulls his punches. Spider-Man has the comparable strength to a spider, more or less. If he were to punch you full on, he's kicked the Hulk's ass. Truthfully, they pitted him against Superman. He got his ass handed to him, of course. But Spider-Man is no joke if he punches you full on strength. He pulls his punches until he realizes one of the keys that he uses to determine how strong of a person you are is if you're able to remove his webbing. So one of his first tactics, as Spider-Man fights you, is to web your face up. If he's taken away your ability to see him, then the advantage is his. But if you're able to remove that webbing from your face after he sprayed your face, dude, you're in trouble, because he's no longer pulling punches, and he's going to give you everything he's got. He's going to kick your ass, but he's not going to try to kill you. Punisher don't give two rats asses. He don't give an absolute shit if he kills you or not. The Punisher's a good guy. But really he's not, because he's out there killing people. He's being the judge, jury, and the condemner. The executioner. And the Punisher, literally, which is what he is. So he's an anti-hero. So there's all the different things, but villains are the hardest ones to sell. Nobody wants a villain, but villains are so important to the story. They really are. The Velocity suit, Thank you very much, Lou. Thank you. That's the Velocity suit. Next one is Iron Spider Three Legs. Yeah, I got that on order. I only collect Marvel MCU villains. Joker, we all love him. Vader, uh, definitely. And I've got the re-edit Iron Spider, so I wasn't really necessarily pleased with that piece, but I was happy to see it. I never thought that um, Hot Toys would ever make one. That's why I bought it. But I'm not dissatisfied with it so much that I'm going to sell it. I'm going to keep it. But I also have the Hot Toys Iron Spider on order because that was more or less the original Iron Spider. That was that, and I love that, and the three-armed Iron Spider. So it was funny seeing Iron Spider in the MCU, how they changed it up, but it works. It tells the story, and it's exactly what we were having, and I have that and love that, and I'm very pleased to have that. In one of the comics, Batman dies or goes away for a long time, and you see in the issue that Joker is slowly going sane from not having him in his life. And that's the question again. Did Joker make Batman? Did Batman make Joker? Are they feeding each other? You know, Batman, really, he's called the Dark Knight because, not because he's a knight, not because he's working in the dark shadows, although it kind of is. He's a Dark Knight because his mind ain't right. He's a dark dude. He's goth. He's an original goth. You know what I mean? And Batman is insane himself. Not criminally insane, like the Joker is, a full-on sociopath, but truly, Bruce Wayne is crazy. There's something wrong with that dude, for real. But he's insane in a way that he's trying to be a do-gooder. So yeah, I like that how you compared that when the Batman was no longer there. Was it when Bane broke his back? Because that put him out of commission. It sure did. When Bane broke his back. Was that when Joker became sane? I like how DC played on that. It works well. It really falls into that question or helps feed that question of, does the villain make the hero or does the hero make the villain? Or then you have those like J. Jonah Jameson that are out of their way paying people to be villains to defeat Spider-Man because in his mind, his fake news is that Spider-Man's a menace. Spider-Man is the one that's causing all the problems in New York City. Spider-Man is the one that needs to be dealt with, and he needs to be removed from the streets. And he's the one paying for the Sentinels and paying for, I think he paid for Hobgoblin and all these other, and I think he paid the Scorpion. And all these people that were on Jameson's secret payroll or to some degree to take out Spider-Man, you know? It's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. Because that makes Jameson a bad guy. It really does. More so than a chaotic neutral, but an actual bad guy for him to employ people to kill the Spider-Man. It's weird when you start thinking about all these little things that are going on in the characters' lives. And by the way, I love the fact that they used the same actor to portray J. Jonah Jameson in the current Spider-Man storyline of Spider-Man Far From Home that they did in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It ties it all together. And I was really hoping that we get. I would love to see a multiverse Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire and Jack Garfield, Andrew Garfield. I would love that. I would love to see Tobey don the uniform and Garfield don the uniform and be in there with Tom Holland. Oh my God. That would be the ultimate Spider-gasm for fact. To see those three in some type of a Spider-Verse mashup. Holy smokes. I'm speechless thinking about it. They've made so many references to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans in the Multiverse comic cartoon movie with Miles Morales. They literally referenced the Tobey Maguires. They really, they have no regret in making the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man stories. They kind of screwed up Spider-Man 3, but that's always been the curse with a lot of movies, sequels. The more they get into it, the more difficult it is to continue on a good story, and this and that happens, and money becomes an issue, or stupidity becomes an issue, and then they end up totally screwing up the movies, and that's what happened in Spider-Man 3. And Andrew Garfield, he has a great following. He was just was just difficult for them to going with it, and so those five movies just kind of got cast away. But that first Tobey Maguire movie, man, what a great one! And I would love to see Tobey and Andrew and Tom Holland all in one movie. God, that would be great. That would tie it all together. You know what I mean? That would bring to us as fans the Sony universe, Tobey Maguire's universe, the Andrew Garfield universe, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And hell, you throw Deadpool into that mix, you've just brought the X-Men and everything into one movie. If they could put one movie that had Toby, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, all in one movie, all standing in the same frame, that would be the glue that bound them all together. And then hell, you put Venom in there from this last Venom movie. I forget the actor's name. That's the full house. That's everything. That ties everything together. You make one movie, you put Toby in there, you put Andrew Garfield in there, you put Tom Holland in there, you put the Venom from the new Venom movie, and you put Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, the Fox version of Deadpool. You've completed it. You've tied MCU, you've tied X-Men, all the X-Men's, and you've tied all the Spider-Mans together, and you've tied Venom together, all in one fell swoop. That's the ultimate holy grail. That does it all. That makes every movie one story. It does it. That completes the arc. That would do it. Homemade suit, tech suit, Iron Spider, them three I have. And the homemade suit, I have it. I just sold it because they came out with a new homemade suit with the little drones on there that Mysterio was controlling. And he's got some sort of different webbing on it. I sold my homemade suit. The new homemade suit doesn't come with the battle damage head sculpt. That's the only Tom Holland battle damage head sculpt that they made. All the other Tom Holland head sculpts out there are clean, no damage on them whatsoever. So if you want a battle damage head sculpt, you have to get it with the homemade suit, by the way. In the Venom movie, the astronaut who crashes and falls to Earth with the symbiote is J. Jonah Jameson's son. Right. It says it in the news report. Absolutely. When they retold the Venom story in the comics, that was one of the origination stories that we got. That J. Jonah Jameson's son, who was an astronaut, that Spider-Man somehow had to save. I don't remember how that worked out. But he brought back the symbiote. I think it was on the outside of the capsule or something. But yeah, J. Jonah Jameson's son brought that in, and I love that they put that into the movie. I saw that, and that was a very important retelling of Venom's origination of that, without it being in the Secret Wars storyline. So that's the story that they use for Venom, and it's very canon, if you will, because it was a story that they told in the comics and in one of the animated series of Spider-Man as well. So J. Jonah Jameson's son, the astronaut, bringing back Venom works, and that is how they told it in the new Venom movie. They sure did, and it's a good selling. That's right, Savon. You're absolutely right. MCU Iron Spider looks like Ben Reilly Spider-Man suit with the big spider. I thought that was cool. I agree. If Tobey Maguire was my favorite, Tom Holland is now. I'm with you. That's my opinion too. I never really was a huge Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fan. I didn't hate it. It just wasn't. That's where Electra comes from. But it just wasn't. It just wasn't all there for me. Tobey Maguire nailed it, and there were some problems I had with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. For instance, the first problem I had was that the webbing came from inside his own body. He generated his own webbing, and one of Spider-Man's flaws or weaknesses is he can run out of webbing. If he doesn't bring enough little web canisters and he's out of webbing, well, then he's got no more webbing to fight you. But if he had it continually being generated out of his body, then he could never possibly run out. However, in the movie, they explain that he's got to be mentally in tune with himself in order for him to be able to generate his webbing. So they did give him a weakness, and I was pleased to see that. But, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man really was a drift a little bit off of the Earth 616 Peter Parker Spider-Man that we know of. But that's fine because now we know, obviously, that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is his own Earth. At that time frame, I'm recovering from a cold, so my throat is really scratchy, so forgive me. At that time frame, there really wasn't a huge emphasis on the Earths. It wasn't anything we really discussed. If they made a Spider-Man movie and it wasn't exactly like Spider-Man, we didn't say to ourselves, "Oh, well, that's Earth XYZ or 2113 or 597 or whatever." We didn't mention that as an Earth. It was just the movie Spider-Man. Now, we go as far, or I do specifically, as to point out, well, that is actually Spider-Man in Earth number X. And they even went as far as in the Spider-Man Far From Home movie to discuss that. When Mysterio was, huge spoiler alert here. We'll talk about this for a minute. I can't believe that you haven't seen Spider-Man Far From Home yet. But if you haven't, I'm going to talk about that. When Mysterio's sitting here talking to Nick Fury, which we later learned was actually a Skrull because Nick was on vacation. When Mysterio's talking to uh, Nick Fury, Mysterio tells us that he's from an alternate Earth, an alternate dimension. And he claims that the Earth that they were standing in, that Tom Holland's Earth was Earth 616. And it's not. Earth 616 is the main Marvel Comics Earth. So we then found out, and when they said that, I was like, "No, you're wrong. It's not. It can't possibly be." I'm sitting here screaming at the movie screen in the movie theater, and everyone else looking at me like I'm nuts because they can't hear me. They can, but the movie guys can't. I'm like, "You're wrong. It's not Earth 616. That's a lie." And then we found out that later that Mysterio was telling a lie anyhow. But they made that reference, and the Earth explanations is how we reference all the different incarnations of, and how the X-Men is different from Deadpool and but the same, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is different from Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland and the Venom and etc. and all that because of all the different Earths. And my Deadpool collection reflects that, and my Spider-Man collection reflects that. And so it would be nice to see, as I was talking about earlier, one movie that ties it all together. And they can do that with a Spider-Man movie, and Sony has that ability. I think they have that ability to do that. I really do. It could happen. It could happen. Tom Hardy, thank you. Tom Hardy plays Venom in the new movies. You think there will be a Morbius figure from Hot Toys? Yes. Oh my God. Definitely. He's got a movie coming out. You know there will be, for a fact. What figures do I think are to be pre-ordered? Oh God. That's so hard to say. I don't have any idea. That's a good question. The ones that are coming, obviously. Captain Marvel's coming, and that one's for fat coming. I'd like to see that Velocity suit Spider-Man. I would like to see the white suit from Avengers. Of course, the new Star Wars movie. We've got those figures. But so many times, Hot Toys misses the mark. They get so late on a figure that people no longer care about the movie, more or less. You know what I mean? And they got to jump when they've got to jump. And like Captain Marvel, she's so late that she's losing her steam. You know what I mean? She had a hard start in the first place, and then she had to prove herself. And I think a lot of collectors were angry at her over that, and the suit taking so long, the figure taking so long to get out, that it's just causing more and more pain with that. Now she's finally here, but it's like, geez, how can I possibly expect myself to be excited about this figure? Unlike any Spider-Man that comes out, I'm excited about it no matter. Or any Iron Man that comes out, I'm excited about that no matter. Captain Marvel was not somebody that I was necessarily, oh my God, I've got to get her in the first place. So now that she's finally coming out, and I might get her by March, it's almost like, jeez. It's kind of like how I felt when I seen that Thanos that popped. The thing that was yesterday. I was like, God, how many more Thanos do I need? It almost makes me want to cancel my Infinity War Thanos that's on pre-order. But I don't want to lose the $40 or whatever it was that I paid on him as a deposit. Because I kind of do want that new Thanos, the defeated Thanos. But, jeez, it's so difficult. It really is. Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man Comes Home. It is funny that Home is in every one of those two movies, right? Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Comes Home. So is that your a thought, or is that something that you've seen? Don't they have death universes as well, or locked Earths, or something like that for when they go defunct? There is a zombie Earth. The Deadpool comes from zombie Earth, and if that's what you mean, go full profit. What are the next 10 to 30 figures to be announced? Come on, Aiden, you're out of your gourd. I need a Captain Marvel in my collection. I ordered both of them because I want to display her one as with her head sculpt in the brown coat and her fighter jacket. And I want to display her full on flamed up helmet, the whole 9 yards, the shiny hair at the top, the blast, the plasma blast or whatever is coming out of her arms, all that full on Captain Marvel in all of her glory. Captain Marvel is a very powerful character. She's not as powerful as Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, but she's a very powerful character. And they really had an opportunity to make her better than what she did. And they really just pissed around with her. Really did. It really did. I think in game, she had a great salvation. She was a pivotal part of the movie when she showed up. But again, even then, there was still no hell yeah. Even at that moment that she's there saving the Avengers' ass, ripping apart Thanos' ship, it was still not, hell yeah, Captain Marvel's here. I don't have any idea what the hell is wrong with Marvel writers and getting us to fall 100% in love with Captain Marvel. That has been her problem in the creation of the MCU Captain Marvel. She's a different storytelling of Captain Marvel. She's definitely not Captain Marvel from the comics. She's definitely the MCU Earth Marvel, which is Earth 199999. She's definitely not the Captain Marvel that we've grown up with in the comics. But in her movie, there should have been a hell yeah moment. There should have been that moment when she passes through onto the ship and she's full on glowing in the whole 9 yards. That should have been the hell yeah, I'm all for you. I'm cheering you on. Go get the bad guys, win the fight, become the hero, and make me fall in love with you. And they blew it. They didn't get me built up to that to the point where I'm jumping out of my seat cheering when she shows up. And the same thing happened in Infinity War. She's saving their ass. Scarlet Witch is literally killing Thanos. She's ripping him apart down to the molecular level. She's going to dissolve him the same way he dissolved all of her friends. She's punishing Thanos with a fierceness, with the ferocity that he's going to feel in his inner being to the moment that he's nothing but dust. She's going to make him suffer. She is killing Thanos, totally ripping him apart, atom by atom. And Captain Marvel comes and destroys his ship. Because when Scarlet Witch is destroying Thanos, Thanos unleashes everything he's got on the ship. Destroy the Earth, more or less, is what Thanos has pretty much commanded. shoot every missile that we have, every bomb, everything that we got onto this planet right now. Blow the planet up, essentially. He's going to destruct the planet. And Captain Marvel saves our ass, and there's no hell yeah moment. It should have been like, hell fucking yeah. Here comes Captain Marvel saving our butt. It wasn't there. It wasn't there. I don't have any idea what the problem is with Marvel that they're screwing that up. There is yet to be a hell yeah moment for Captain Marvel. I don't know why. But I'm glad to have her. I was really worried about the movie when Brie Larson was out there promoting the movie. I was scared to death it was going to be a huge problem. There have been some problems in the Marvel Cinematic Universe storytellings, and Captain Marvel just isn't getting the proper story being told of her, and I have no idea why. I don't. She's a very powerful being. Very powerful being. She should be up there. She should be up there leading the pack like Tony and Spider-Man and Superman. She should be a front runner, and she's not. She just isn't happening, and she's just not getting the love that she deserves, that they should be getting us. They should be making us fall so in love with her that we cry if she gets hurt, and that we cheer when she overcomes adversity. We don't give a shit. Yeah, it's Captain Marvel. She's powerful. Big deal. It shouldn't be that way. It should be like, oh, you're going to be in trouble. You've done pissed off Captain Marvel. You know? Oh, you're in trouble now. You've pissed off Scarlet Witch. Oh, you're in trouble now. You've pissed off the Hulk. You know, we get that. And that's what comes to our mind. When they've made these people angry, we're like, that's it. You are so toast. You really pissed off the wrong person. You pissed off Captain Marvel, it's like, oh well. Oh darn, Captain Marvel's angry. Oh, big freaking whoop. Go ahead, Captain Marvel, be angry. Who gives a shit? I don't know what has happened in the storytelling to make us not fall or be on her team. But they need to get with the program. She's an amazing character, and they're really screwing her up badly. I don't know what the problem is. Captain Marvel coming home. Spider-Man coming home. Is that what you said? Nice. That's good to hear. Awesome. If you pre-ordered from Sideshow, I would ask them to transfer your RD2, the new Thanos, or get all of them like I am. Yeah, that's my struggle, man. For real. That literally is my struggle. What do I do with Thanos? Because Infinity War Thanos just doesn't, and I'm not talking about the end game Thanos, but Infinity War Thanos just doesn't, and I'm not talking about the Infinity War Thanos. I'm talking about the number 3 Thanos, which is, I guess, is the end game Thanos. So the first end game Thanos, which has the gauntlet, just doesn't do it for me anymore after seeing the new Thanos. But, oh, God, what a struggle on decision. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen 2 versions of Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse. One company is doing just Miles, no spider suit of any kind, and another company is making the 2 suits with plain clothes. And I've ordered that one. I actually ordered, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure I've got 4 Miles Moraleses on order, all from that same company because they've made 4 iterations of him. And I've ordered that with all 4 renditions of him in like plain clothes and of him with the Spider-Man homemade suit, more or less, and then him as Spider-Man as we see him, and then there's like one other iteration that came out of that, and I've got all 4 of those, and I'm very looking forward to that. And Miles was another character that I was a little on the fence when they made him. I had no problem with Miguel O'Hara when they did 2099 Spider-Man, but when they manufactured Miles, I still wasn't sold on the alternate Earth storylines, and I had a problem with Miles only because he wasn't Peter Parker. You know, it's like, hey, you got no business wearing the suit. You're not Peter Parker. But I've 100% accepted him since then and have no problem with Miles. And I love the Spider-Verse movie. and that was done really well, really well. I would like to see all of those Spider-Man. I'd like to see Nicolas Cage's Spider Noir. I'd like to see Spider Ham. I'd love to see Penny with the Spider Droid. I'd love to see all of them. I really would. I'd like to see the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Spider-Man. Matter of fact, when that movie started and it was the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Spider-Man, first thing I said was, "What the hell? Peter Parker doesn't have blonde hair and blue eyes." And of course, they explained that story. Yeah, I would love to see all of them. I really would. Again, huge Spider-Man fan. You can't make enough Spider-Man to please me. You really couldn't. You could make every doggone, gosh, if there's Earth 19999, that's 20,000. There's 20,000 Earths. There's 20,000 Spider-Man out there. Hello? Add that up real quick. Every Deadpool Earth that they've shown us, every iteration of any other Spider-Man, they're there. There's a Spider-Man for every Deadpool Earth. And there's a lot of Deadpool Earths. In the Deadpool core, we got to see all of those. My goodness. On a ton of them. Pre-order 30 Soundwave with Ravage. Oh, man. I love how they're doing the Transformers. I love them. I love all of them. But I've not bought any of them because I'm 1/6 scale and they're not 1/6 scale. And I don't have the room for them. But I really, truthfully, really, 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 I'm begging these guys to make us the 2007 Transformer Bumblebee robot, Transformer, however you want to explain him, Autobot, but him transformed into the figure from that concept art Camaro. My Camaro. I really want that Bumblebee. I really do. Really, really. There was two Bumblebees in that movie. The 1977 Bumblebee and the 2007 Bumblebee. And he transformed into the robot, an Autobot, into both of those. So really there's two Bumblebees that they're denying us. The 1977 mechanized Bumblebee and the 2007 mechanized Bumblebee. They're denying both of those. They're denying us of both of those. And they really need to do that. And you might think, we're talking about a movie that now is 13 years old. Who would have any interest in it? I think a lot of people would. I don't think there'd be any problem selling those figures or statues if they were to make one that looked exactly like it's supposed to of the 77 and the 2007. And I know that because Camaro guys love Bumblebee as well. Not every one of them. There's a lot of guys that are like, oh my God, yeah, big deal. They turned the Camaro into Bumblebee. But he crosses over into that. He really does. So, there are people that buy that second generation 76 or 77 or 78 Camaro yellow and black because it's Bumblebee. I kid you not. There are people that have spent, $3,000-$4,000 just like I spent tens of thousands of dollars on my Camaro out there because he's Bumblebee. 100% for fact. When I told my wife I was going to buy a Camaro, I told her I was going to buy one. The first thing she asked me was, what color are you going to get? I said, they make a beautiful dark blue Camaro with silver stripes on it that I love. I love that color rendition. It looks great. I then told her, I said, but there's the Bumblebee factor. And she says, what the hell is that? And I said, they make a Transformers edition Camaro that looks like the first movie Bumblebee. It's not a dead-on representation, but it's really close. There's no question about it when you look at it, what it's supposed to be. And I said, I'm leaning towards buying that Bumblebee Camaro. And I've never wanted in my life ever a yellow car or a white car. I don't much care for light-colored cars. I love dark cars, dark red, black, dark blue. Those are my favorite color cars. But I was like, I really am leaning hard on this Bumblebee Camaro. And I told her, I said, I would love the blue and silver one. I would love the death. I said, but if I didn't buy the Bumblebee, I have a feeling for as long as I live, or as long as I own that Camaro, I would probably say to myself every day, gosh, I wonder what it would have been like if I'd owned a Bumblebee Camaro. So it became available. I dropped the money on it, and I've loved it every day since then. There's nothing in the world quite like driving Bumblebee. Driving a Camaro is fun in the first place. It's a Camaro. It's fast. It's badass. It's recognizable. Driving Bumblebee creates a sense of magic and wonderment that is difficult to replicate. It's almost as cool as driving a Batmobile. For real. It's that recognizable. It really is. People have, there's very few people that look at my Camaro and say, what the hell Camaro is that? What kind of car is that? What's that supposed to be? Very few have no idea what it is. The, the odds are people know exactly what they're looking at. And they love that bit of magic that just passed them on the highway at 80 miles an hour. Love it. I don't remember what drives Captain Marvel. For Cap, it's simple and memorable. It's the preservation of a freedom, no matter what opposes it. I can back that. What was hers? Okay, well, I guess you have to wonder about, are you talking about Captain Marvel from Earth 616? Captain Marvel, which really started off as a man, and she was like Miss Marvel, and then later she got named Captain Marvel by, I think it was Captain America that told her she should be Captain Marvel? Or are you talking about MCU Captain Marvel? I think what drives MCU Captain Marvel is the same thing that drives Captain America. I think Captain Marvel's ethics and morality are similar to Captain America's ethics and morality. I think she's all about what Superman used to say, truth, justice, and the American way. It's all about, in her, defeating the bad guys. I mean, she joined the military and became a fighter pilot to defend her country. I think that's really what her driving force is. One of the things that blows my mind was somebody had said one time that his son, I believe it was, had approached him and said, Batman I get, because he's kind of on a vengeance kick. Wolverine I get, he says, because he's kind of on a vengeance kick. He says, but he doesn't understand Superman. He doesn't understand why Superman is Superman. He doesn't understand what is Superman's fight. And I really felt that was a sad moment in history where someone couldn't associate themselves with Superman, where someone couldn't understand why Superman is out there fighting the good fight, where someone no longer believed in morality and the right way and being fair and just and truthful and not being a bad guy or not having a motivation to make you who you are. Just being a good person. Not crossing the street until it's time to cross the street. Picking up your garbage, not just throwing stuff on the ground, not being a litter bug. Doing what's right, being human, taking care of each other, being civilized. That's gone. People now think if there's no benefit in it for them, why are they going to do it? They're going to go get their Starbucks, drink their cup, and throw it on the ground. Let somebody else deal with it. Give me a frickin' break. What's happened to this world? If you no longer can associate with Superman on why he is how he is, you have to check your morality of yourself. Where's your ethics? I challenge that you don't have any. What's keeping you from robbing the place blind when you walk into the store if nobody's watching you? What's keeping you from breaking into your neighbor's house if it's not locked? Come on. We're supposed to be civilized. We're supposed to be human. We're supposed to care for each other. And I think we're losing that. And for the simple fact that somebody doesn't understand what drives Superman, that's sad days. But I truthfully believe that Captain Marvel is driven by that same force. The same force that Captain America is driven by, that same force that Superman is driven by. That is what I believe drives Captain Marvel. And that makes her all the more reason to make her a great character, to make her somebody that you want to be on her team, make her somebody that you care about, because she has that morality or ethics or desire to her. From my opinion, that's her drive. Uncle Ben drove into Peter. With great power comes great responsibility. And it took him the
the life of his uncle to realize that. And you have to yourself keep that in mind. If you've been given charge over something, you need to take care of it. If you've been put into a good position over somebody, you need to share the wealth, share your health, share your benefit. Not everyone is as lucky as we all are. And when we have to keep that in mind as we go along in life, we have to take care of each other. Jerry Springer tells us that all the time. Be good to each other, you know? Take care of yourselves. Take care of ourselves. Because if we don't take care of the others, if there's no charity, if there's no love for each other, what are we then? Animals, uncivilized. You know? It's crazy. And I'm sad to see that the state of our earth is becoming that way. I'm sad to see that we are condemning people and finding them guilty without any evidence. Long time before anything even happens on social media. People now have to go to court and defend themselves because they've already been found guilty by the court of opinion. Facebook has found them guilty before any fact has ever been presented. What in the hell? Don't judge a book by its cover. Learn the whole story before making a decision. For fact. Hope it's never you that are accused in that manner. Jeez. Oh, that and protecting Barnes. With 3 Thanos, you can show off all 3 different expressions on his face. 4 Thanos. Getting Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos. Guardians of the Galaxy, Infinity War, Endgame, and Final Endgame. There's 4 Thanos. If there's 20,000 spider chaps, there's 85 times as many Iron Men. Yeah, exactly. 100% right. I was thinking the same thing about the 3 different expressions for Thanos. Infinity War, plain face, armored, snarling face, battle damage, defendant face. Right? I like that in Infinity War where he's like, you should have gone for the head. And then, what a shock. I totally did not expect that in Endgame. Oh my god. Amazing scene. What the hell did you just do? I went for the head. That's what he told me. Boy, oh boy. What an amazing scene. I am on Facebook. You can find me at Once to Scale News, and you can find me at Siri Emerald. Once to Scale News and Reviews on. I post on there occasionally, but it's still there. I would love to have anybody else that wants to post on there. You can keep it up, putting on there Once to Scale News and Reviews, whatever you want. It's been around for years. I'm happy for you, man. I hope that car brings you that same joy for as long as you own it. I love that car. When my wife had her cardiac arrest and died in August, and they brought her back to life, and I was faced with a huge amount of medical bills, one of the things that crossed my mind was I'm going to have to sell my Camaro. And it was a huge struggle with that. And it's still obviously always a thought of a way of generating money. And I really do not ever want to sell it. I love it. Like my figures, I never want to sell it. Even though Bumblebee does not get driven much, he gets taken to car shows. He's out and about. He's presented, and he is loved at car shows. And he's won me a few trophies, a couple first place trophies at car shows, and for many reasons. Because he's clean, he's in great condition. He's nearly new in resemblance to how he came off of the assembly line. I really take good care of him, but mostly because he's Bumblebee. Really, I mean, he could be sitting next to another Camaro of the same vintage or even newer, in better condition. And there's nothing wrong by Bumblebee. He's in perfect condition, and I'll get the trophy. He doesn't. And God has caused so much contention amongst my Camaro friends when I get another trophy for owning Bumblebee. They're just so envious and jealous and angry. Like, hey, you got that because he's Bumblebee. Hey, what can I say? I think that does play a little bit into the trophy decision making. I think because people want to see him at a car show. People want to see Bumblebee. I think if they're looking at Camaros, they're like, oh, where's the Bumblebee? I want to see a Bumblebee. You know, there's always that one person, if not more than one, that wants to see Bumblebee. I love my Bumblebee. What a joy to drive. It really is. I love it. Show the love you get. Hell yeah. Loving the chat, live video, and the figures. Thank you. Thank you very much. Gosh, we've been on for, what the hell? 3.5 hours? My God, guys. Thank you for sticking around. It's so amazing as we go on these stories and have so much to discuss and whatever else. And you guys make the channel. You're the ones that are directing it. I'm more or less producing it. I'm trying to keep it all under some type of a even keel. But you guys lead the channel. How did we get all these figures on the table here? Because different things would come up and the discussion would go along. We all started off with the images of Ikkon arms, which I wasn't even sure was going to make 30 minutes into the video. I wasn't even sure I was going to have anything to talk about after 30 minutes. And I'm so pleased that this has gone on. Thank you for you guys sticking with me. I'm sorry to keep you so long. I hate when it goes so long because it's just so much information and it ends up getting lost in the whole thing. And I love every one of you guys. I think I'm going to wrap this up. I'm pretty sure next week we're going to be good opening up the Negative Suit Spider-Man. So speaking of the Spider-Man, this is what's going on next week. And the week after that, we've got Vampirella, my third Vampirella. I've got the other two, and this is the third one. I passed on the fourth one. I forget what it's called, but I passed on the fourth one. That's enough Vampirellas. I've got an Asian Vampirella. I've got the, I don't know, if you were to call the other one the American Vampirella, I've got that. And this is, I think it's called the Jose Gonzalez Vampirella. And I think that's enough. I think it's enough Vampirellas. I've got both Lady Deaths, so I'll be opening up her in 2 weeks. And someplace Captain Marvel will be coming along, someplace R2-D2 will be coming along, and whatever else I should happen to spend money on. So many figures I want to get. I really need to get that Killmonger. I ended up skipping him. I ended up skipping Bucky, the Winter Soldier, the dissolving arm one. I had pre-ordered it, and it came out, and I just couldn't have the money to get it, and I ended up passing on it. But it's another one of those that I wish I'd got. I think he's still available to be bought. So if you haven't got one, go to Big Bad Toy Store. I'm pretty sure they still have Bucky available. And they have Doctor Strange, I think, still available. So you still get those pieces. So next week, definitely mobile. Thank you very much. Peace. I hope everything is good. My wife says she's getting stronger. So she's still there needing constant care. She's on life support. She really is. With the ventilator and oxygen that she's on, it truthfully is life support. If she didn't have those, she wouldn't be able to breathe. So my wife's on life support, and hopefully she gets through all this and recovers. And I would love to have her back to the way things were, but that will never happen. So I spend my time when I'm not working or involved in my hobbies taking care of my wife. She's my first focus, which means I've not been able to get to movies as much. There was a time in my life I didn't miss a movie. I've seen all the movies. I used to review movies for Fobogo, I think it was. Fobogo? I forget who it was. I reviewed every movie. I got to see them for free through them. On premiere night before they were out. I seen them on Tuesday before they were out on Thursdays. I was able to write reviews for them. And I think Star Wars was the only movie I'd seen in the last 6 months. And I never missed a movie. And so I miss that because it's difficult to be away from my wife for any matter of time. It really is. So anyhow, I love you guys. Subscribe to me on Patreon if you wish to donate to the channel. If you're not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe. Click the little notification thing. Sometimes that works with YouTube. Sometimes it doesn't. Share the videos. Give them a thumbs up. And again, go to Patreon, Siri Emerald. Find me on Facebook at 16 Scale News and Reviews or Siri Emerald. I also have an Instagram and a Twitter and Pinterest. And I post so rarely on those anymore. It's not even funny. I really, really don't have the time really to dedicate to all of that. And if I find something really interesting, I'll make a YouTube video on that.
and post that up. And other than that, I'll see you guys next Saturday. I love every one of you. I really do. And I enjoyed spending the time with you. And I'm glad to have you guys with us. And thank you for spending your Saturday with me. And you all have a great day. And happy collecting. And see you on the next video. And I love you. And peace.